The train headed for Sunset City will be departing soon.
So he mentioned to me, "Oh, sorry,
Mhm.
Frank. Dave is on your lap. Dave, do you want to move?"
Uh, I mean,
I
you're
mean,
you're
if
the
you
one
want
that's
to,
in
Okay,
control of
yeah, you
that.
can
So,
you can
yeah.
come sit next to me and face
Okay.
the opposite side to the rest of the table. But anyways, so my housemate was saying to me, I really wish that Sega would kind of let go of the Nintendo Switch and just not like confine themselves to those things primarily for their games because holding it back.
Yeah.
And what I said to him was though, there's a lot of Nintendo Switch exclusive games, or Mario games or whatever, that have really good visuals and really good art direction. It hasn't been held back because they've taken the limitations into account. You don't.
Yeah.
No one needs ray tracing in a Sonic game. You don't actually need that.
nah.
If you have it, it's a
No.
little bonus, but you don't need ray tracing in a Sonic game.
Yeah,
I'll say this as someone who has like a ray traceable PC, like a hardware capable PC. It like the novelty wears off super quickly because you realize that like the lighting that the studio's already put into the game proper even before ray tracing still holds up super well and it looks great and it runs a lot better. So like I feel like I feel like in the future, like let's say 10 years in the future, ray tracing will just be in everything, like that'll just be kind of like
Oh,
this,
yeah.
the
Yeah,
norm
definitely.
for like lighting engines and
Yeah,
stuff
it'll
like
be like
that,
a
or like
part of
lighting
it.
technology.
But I had
But,
like a
like-
bit of a realization as I was going to bed last night is that like the age of higher poly models is over. Like future generations future generation games are probably going to be the kind of thing that's perfectly playable on the current generation, even like 2 generations removed from now, because the central mechanics of what a game is now is kind of concrete. Like you're not going to get many
Yeah.
things that completely reinvent the wheel, short of making more mandatory stuff for like the DualSense controller, I guess. But even then, there's still going to be ways.
Well,
to
that
do
has
it.
nothing to do with like, yeah, that doesn't really have anything to do with like graphical like capabilities and stuff
No,
like
of
that. Like
course,
it's just like we're at a point now, and it's been like this for a while. I would say even as far back as the tail end of the 360 PS3 days, where it's all about how much time the studio's given to make use of the hardware that they have, and
Yeah.
considering that crunch is a pretty big thing still, there's not going to be any video game
Somehow.
that takes advantage of everything, like they're not going to take advantage of all the ray tracing. They're not going to push the hardware past its like poly count and stuff like
Absolutely.
that.
I mean, even down
Like-
to like the PS5 Pro, which is using like
Yes.
AI upscaling rather than
Yeah.
high
Yeah.
fidelity anything. Like
Exactly. Like
So we
yeah,
don't
I
need
agree.
Sonic.
It's yeah.
We don't need a game about like a cartoon hedgehog taking on all of these fucking resources.
No,
if
and,
they
like-
make a game that looks good on the Switch, it will look good on the PlayStation.
Like think about like
Oh,
think about like Mario Odyssey, for example, where it's like it's still a very surrealist like, art style, but then you go to like New Donk City and that just is just a city, like with real people in it and stuff like that. Like, just with Mario kind of like iconography sprinkled all over it. That game runs at 60 like relatively consistently with a quote unquote realistic, and I say quote unquote realistic because the rest of the game isn't realistic, but I'm using New Donk City as like a baseline for that. Like that is a realistic art style in this game where realism isn't really a thing, and it still can work on the Switch. I actually
and
thought
you
about
could-
getting like a broken. Oh, you go first. I'm sorry.
Oh no! Sorry, you go first. I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I was gonna say I've been thinking about getting like a broken like a Switch with like a broken screen on it, and then basically just doing like an overclocked consoleized Switch. Because if you overclock a Switch, put a decent fan instead of a case, it can run Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom at a relatively consistent 60 FPS, which is kind of insane.
I'm Trey. I'm going to buy and overclock.
Oh my God.
Switch with all my
What I'm saying, I feel like
That didn't
I
take
feel like
long.
people look at the age of the Switch 2 hardware because it's from 2018 as if it's like a terrible thing, and it's not, because you think about games that were released around that time and the hardware that it was released on. Think like Spider-Man for the PS4, that was running off of 2012 hardware, and that looks fantastic on the PS4, like base PS4 whenever that came out. Like I don't feel like Sonic is going to be held back by the limitations of the next generation because Sonic doesn't require a lot, if that makes sense. To like
Yeah,
make
and
it look
people
good.
Oh, yeah,
will
no, definitely.
bring up like the visuals of like Sonic Frontiers for an example, but the problem there is that it looked bad on every platform, and people will say,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, maybe that's because they were confining it to the Switch." But then it's like, it was their decision to try and make this photorealistic.
Yeah. In my opinion, though, it's like even if that game ran perfect, and let's say even if the pop-in was not like non-existent, right? Like let's say the pop-in was non-existent and it ran consistently, it still is an ugly art style in my opinion. Like
Yeah, I mean,
Frontiers
even
is just a hodgepodge of just
absolutely,
different, yeah,
But even-
just different ideas that shouldn't have ever worked together in the first place, in my opinion. But
even
you know.
then, like Shadow Generations released on the Switch, and it looks good on all consoles. Like it
Yes,
looks good on the Switch.
I
It
agree.
looks good on a high-end PC. It looks good on the PlayStation 5. Like it's a really good-looking game because it has just been made within the confines of something like the Switch. But it's like they didn't worry about things like subsurface scattering or fucking ray tracing in that game. They just had a cool art style and had cool things happening. And it's like, yeah, like fucking subsurface scattering. The insistence on subsurface scattering, if anything, made Frontiers look worse because
yeah,
that's that thing that's
Like-
meant to like illuminate skin and stuff in a natural way because like skin absorbs light, it doesn't just reflect it. And I get they're meant to do that, but in Sonic Frontiers they set the resolution wrong or something, so he just lights up like a glow stick, and it's like, okay, you put this next gen feature in here, and it actually looks worse because of it.
yeah, and also with Shadow Gens, I feel like it could have been optimized better on the Switch. To be fair, because the Shadow
yeah,
Gens
definitely.
portion, the Shadow Gens portion runs it like a weird. I saw like a Digital Foundry video on it because I love looking at that shit, but like. It ran at like a 31 FPS, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, why? So fucking
It's an
weird.
oddball
They
number.
capped it, but it's a soft cap with a little elasticity.
Yeah, but like,
Remember when Forces came to Switch and they were like, "Oh, it's 30 FPS gameplay with 60 FPS controls." What do you mean?
so actually, funny enough,
They probably
Forces
just
like
meant the
this-
8-direction movement, right? Like he's
Probably,
I
don't know.
60.
I don't know, but like for Sonic Forces was actually one of the better looking games on the Switch from the Sonic franchise.
It
Like,
did
despite
look
me
pretty
not
good.
liking that game,
Oh, yeah.
it looked very solid. Like,
I
so
think the difference between like Switch Forces and anything else Forces is really marginal. Like
yes, you don't feel like you're getting like a lesser experience when you play
No.
it on the Switch. Well, because you're getting a lesser experience just
it's
overall.
not
But
all
regardless,
blurry and fuzzy. Yeah, go on, Trent.
but it's not fuzzy. I can see everything clearly. Like I feel like Shadow Gens was the perfect balance between like, okay, let's do something pseudo open world, but also let's not go completely overboard to where we have to make a shit ton of compromises to like hinder the experience. I
And
feel like if
didn't
they
try
just
for
optimize that,
photoreal shit either. Like it's not like every
Yes.
window had ray tracing on it and stuff like that. They weren't worried
but even
about
then,
that.
like even in more realistic settings, like let's say Kingdom Valley, that looked great. Like you can do it. Like, but like again, it's all about like it's all about balance. That's with everything. You gotta balance this shit out. You
And
know, you
if you're
can't.
going to
yeah.
make an open world, you need to kind of design around that because like open world games all will have some degree of pop-in going on, but like Shadow Generations
Sure.
hides it by having lots of walls, mostly kind of circular shape to it. But then like things like Spider-Man PS4 and stuff like that, having those buildings there to conceal
Yep.
things that are loading in is so good. So I think like the flatness of the Frontiers worlds really didn't help matters.
No,
It's why
like
probably Ares
yeah.
Island is probably the best looking island, is because you've got all those valleys that hide things. Like you
Yeah,
can get
that's
some
true.
good shots there.
that's fair. And like funny enough, like Wolfenstein 2, and this is related. But Wolfenstein 2, the New Colossus, whenever it was ported to Switch, they actually had to add a wall right at the beginning of the game so that it could block the view that was happening on the outside. That way it could run better. It's so interesting how that happens, but they were able to cull it out and it ran better.
That's the thing is
wait,
nothing is hidden with Frontiers. It's all bare bones on.
It's all
display.
just out in the open. Yeah. It's like your roommate forgot a towel and
Which
it's
one
like
is it? The new order.
Huh.
Who ported that on?
Wait, what'd you
Switch?
say, Frank? I'm
Oh
sorry.
no, not the new order. It was a different one. What was that Wolfenstein game?
Wolfenstein 2, the New Colossus.
Oh, okay.
Whenever it got ported to Switch, they like added like a wall near the beginning of the game that kind of blocked off this large landscape thing. And it was a thing where no one really even noticed it at first unless you like pointed it out. but it made the game run better because they were able to use that wall as a block to call out all that geometry, like
Yeah,
in the distance.
like the first thing I thought of was like that's got to be panic button. I looked it up, was like, yeah, that's panic button.
It's panic button. Yeah.
those-
Actually,
Alright,
just
let's,
get, just get
that
fucking
team-
panic button to port these to Switch. I don't know what the fuck. Like, just do that.
team
Like, that would be
that team
awesome.
uses magic. I don't understand how they're able to do the work they do. They're mad scientists or something, because
They just
they get a lot
yeah.
of games working really well on Switch. They even did the Apex Legends port, which it doesn't run amazing, but is pretty damn
The
impressive.
fact that it's running at all is just crazy, right?
Let's go ahead
Yeah.
and go into the main show. So,
Oh, hello everyone.
do you
Didn't
want to
see
do
you
the bit?
there.
You want to do the bit?
Sure.
Don't you? Yeah.
I'll
Hi
do
there,
it,
Paisanos.
I'll do
Welcome
it.
to the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Yes.
Wow.
I'll do Dave's version of it. Hello everyone.
please.
Welcome to Sunset
Yeah.
City, where we talk about Sonic.
That wasn't Dave's version. Dave's
Um,
version was like it's your one-stop point for.
It was
all the Sonic.
one-stop shop for all things
Yeah.
like Sonic
Yeah.
related. But
Now you're getting off the
okay,
train.
like but for real. Hello everyone, welcome to Sunset City, the Sonic podcast for the classic and modern age. I am one of the hosts, Trey Nobles. And I'm just gonna go from top to bottom on the Discord thing. We have DaveAce with us.
Hugh.
You're here. And we have we have Gotta Be Frank.
Hello.
And last but not least, we have Channel Pup.
Hello.
Thank you all for coming in. We wanted to let you know that super chats will be read at the end of the show. So anything that you don't donate to us will be read at the end. We appreciate y'all so much. We also have a Patreon. So if you want to support us on Patreon, you can do that as well. Sunset City Patreon. And you can possibly, if you donate a good bit to the Patreon, you could be a part of the what's that role called again? Like the Bat Lovers
Enjoyer.
role?
Bad enjoy.
Bat Enjoyer. Yeah, okay. Maybe Bat Lovers is a little bit too on the nose, but Bat Enjoyer's role. And I'm not sure if we're doing it today because I feel like personally I gotta leave pretty early.
We're in a
but,
bit of a
like,
hurry today. We got to be done by.
Yeah.
I think,
so
yeah.
we won't probably be taking up any sort of like callers today, like in the Pigpen and stuff like that. But we appreciate the support regardless. Is there anything I'm missing?
The patron shoutouts.
Oh, the
It's in-
Patreon shoutouts. Where is that list, by the way?
The weed.
The weed? Where's the
Yeah.
weed?
I mean,
Important
formerly known as the piss. It's in important resources.
Even though it's still labeled as the piss. On the,
Yeah, there's
in-
nothing
Oh,
I can
important-
do about
okay.
it. It's over.
Okay.
It's never been
You can
more
edit
over.
the
All
name
right.
of it.
So Patreon shoutouts. I got it pulled up right here. Patreon shoutouts. My Great Rolls. Then 101. Aiden Fitzgerald. Stardust Chaos. Crimson Rose. Master SP. And KB. Thank you all so much for donating. And
Master
you're all
SP.
beautiful people. And in fact, I've met a good bit of you as well. And you're all just incredible inside and
Oh,
out. So thank you.
me. I'm Trey, and I've met so many friends.
It's just so stupid.
Here we Oh,
Oh, I'm Trey Nobles. I'm just trying to be nice to some people that I consider my friends in the Patreon. Oh. Anyways, thank you so much. Anything else? Anything else?
We're good to go, man. Like, we don't really have.
Okay.
We don't have, because we're not using Restream anymore. We don't have the fish tank, so I can't see how many people are in there right now.
Oh.
All I can say is, if you're in the fish tank, make yourself heard and just drop a message.
Yeah.
But yeah. With that, we're ready to go into our first of our warm-up topics. Then, yeah, you ready for a bit of warming
Well,
up?
I can
Yeah.
already see the fish tank, and one of the things in chat makes me want to nuke the fish tank.
Oh, what's
Not
what's
really.
happening? What's happening?
Not really. It's got someone saying, "How do you do my skibbity rizzlers?"
That sounds like Terry.
Who was that?
Anybody?
them out by name.
Someone's got a little bit of echo here. Just a teeny bit. I can sometimes
It
hear
might
myself.
be me. Hold on.
Trey,
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 Trey.
All right.
Trey.
That should be good.
Okay, so far so good. Okay, well, Sonic Rumble has been quite a hot topic lately, as there's been some growing frustration in the fan base about posting
Yeah.
all these updates of events for a game that most of the world can't play. Which is, yeah, a lot like the USA, the United Kingdom, all the important ones anyway.
Unless you know where to look.
yeah.
Um,
Unless you know
yeah.
where to look.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I feel like
I
it wouldn't have been. I feel like it wouldn't have been that bad if they didn't like promise like a late quarter 2024 release. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Previously, it was like
yeah.
winter 2024, and now they've released kind of a new thing saying spring 2025. So sometime around March to May, I guess, is going to be your window for when Sonic Rumble drops.
Yeah.
But there's also been a lot of concern about the fact that they've been like announcing like this character is in Sonic Rumble and this reward is in Sonic Rumble and you can get this and this and this. And a lot of people are like, okay, but we can't get any of that right now. Like we
Right.
can't play for these. Are these rewards going to come up later, or are we going to have to like pay for them and stuff? And they did issue a
Yeah.
response, but it is a bit vague in that it's like most of the characters will all be available for you post-launch. So that doesn't really answer that. But then also,
They're gonna
it's,
pay for it.
yeah, it doesn't mention if you have to pay for it or not. So I can still understand why people aren't satisfied with this.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's just been a weird thing for Sonic Rumble because in my opinion, I remember the closed beta, the quote unquote closed beta, like a lot of people had access to it. But for iOS happening about this time nearly a year ago or like close to it. Am I right in that assumption?
It was like in the it was in the summer.
like in the
Yeah,
summer.
I think it was in May, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we're 3 months shy of
Maybe close.
from like the year anniversary of whenever like we were able to play the closed beta in the US and stuff like that. And in my opinion, I didn't like
yeah.
again, and game development and all that stuff, shareholders, all that stuff. It's all a crazy intertangled mess of like semantics and all this other stuff. But playing the closed beta, I'm like, oh, they're pretty much done. Like they had everything functional. They had the progress system
How long
functional
ago
like
are
a
you thinking
year
with
ago.
this yeah, so you played it like a year ago, right?
Yeah.
So I got a little confession to make. I live in the Netherlands.
Okay.
According to my Google account.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was playing it just this morning. The thing's fucking ready, dude. It's so ready. Like
I got
there is.
confess-
I mean, I would say that there is a lot to it that is finished, but there are a lot of underlying issues that me personally I have noticed when playing the game.
What kind are you thinking?
So, I mean, yes, the game has a lot of mini games to play from, but I feel like if they were to release it right now, a lot of people may think that there's not enough content within the game. They might get complaints that there's not like enough variety because when playing the game, it's still randomized which mini game you go to, and a lot of the times when going through
Right.
matches, you will get the exact same matchup that you may have had within the past 2 rounds of playing Ring Survival mode.
Yeah.
On top of that, they just recently said in the news post for the game that they're facing issues with load times, so now they're reducing the number of people that play within the Ring Survival mode to 24 from 32 to see if they can figure
Okay.
out what's going on with that. And on top of that, they recently introduced a new system to the shop where you can buy score boosters, or you can get a score booster every day, and that helps with gaining more score. But there's something
Okay.
very broken with it right now where the score doubles what you make on the overall leaderboard. So if you just consistently keep buying those score boosters, if you keep playing the game over and over again, you'll eventually reach the top ranks, like almost immediately. So that within itself is already an issue.
and that's
I mean, there is a lot in the game already, but in terms of skins, buddies, and pretty much anything that I personally think a lot of people would complain about if it were the release right now,
Yeah.
it is kind of lacking in certain areas. I mean, Omega's not even in the game yet.
How long ago did you last play it though? Because like I'm looking at the stage challenge board right now, and there are still a lot of different types of content. I mean I found recently especially I've encountered some new stages and stuff. There's definitely some new acts to some of the
Oh yeah,
stages.
I mean, I recently booted it up like a couple of days ago, but if I'm being honest, I haven't really played it that often because, again, I feel like I've played everything the game has to offer right now, and there's just nothing really drawing me back to it at the moment.
And,
Well,
and for the listeners, just so you know, Dave covers this game a lot on his channel, so that's saying a lot.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I feel like that's with a lot of games though, where it's like if you play a great deal, then you are going to experience you know, most of all that the game has to offer, and you go through like peaks and valleys when it comes to like playing these games. I mean, it was the same with me and Fall Guys, where it's like I would play Fall Guys for a good while, then just get bored of it, and then maybe like a month or two later jump back into it. Like Sonic Rumble doesn't seem like too dissimilar in terms of like content rollout in that aspect. I am glad that they are trying to fix
Hang
these
on a
issues
second,
before
boys.
main release.
Your microphones are going a bit funky, so I'm just gonna put us on the. Just
Hello.
had to restart my Wi-Fi router and wait like however many minutes. If you're wondering, my Wi-Fi provider is Now TV. They charge £41.50 a month for this crap. Do not buy them. Okay. Let's. I've got echo. Trey, is it you? Are you echoing?
You got. Okay, hold on.
Trey.
I got you.
Trey.
Sorry.
Trey.
Sorry.
Trey.
Sorry. I will not get roboticized again. I swear. Okay, like that's not gonna happen.
They got him.
They got him.
All right. Are we still here? Don't all go silent ever right now. Okay. Like that is the worst.
All right, everybody go silent.
Everyone shut
That is
up.
the worst fucking thing you can do to me.
Hope you're enjoying that, audio listeners.
Yeah, I hope we enjoy that. The fraction of you that's left. Fuck's sake. Okay. Well, anyways, where were we? We were talking about like Sonic Rumble. And,
yes.
the last we chatted about it, we mentioned that like there is some content there, but you haven't really played much of it lately and stuff like that, because it's been getting repetitive.
Oh, for me, I played a lot of it, but it got to the point where it's just like, you know, even taking like days in between off from playing a game and coming back to it, it just didn't really feel revitalizing or anything like that. I do think that like them going in and fixing some things, and I mean they've already announced that they're doing more things for it when the game comes out. Like they're going to be doing a big competitive mode, so people that want to play competitively can play competitive.
I still reckon
But
what
a
they've got
big
now,
issue
though,
that
they
I
could
had.
release. Like it's better than nothing.
I mean,
like...
they could, but I mean, like the big issue that I have aside from that is that the squads mode, the way that they handle that, just I don't really like. I don't like that it's like an every other week kind of thing. So it's nice to see that they're also working on another mode that's potentially going to replace that and become like a permanent thing. But yeah.
The one thing I'm curious about is like, what are the skills going to be? Because I'm looking
that's
at the
something
roadmap
I'm
right now.
interested in too, because that they've already got emotes that let you collide with other players. Like you can do like a spin dash and like it'll like hit other players back and stuff like that. So I'm wondering if they're going to be replacing that.
The last time I picked up the game, well, before I started picking it up again, like you could punch out at a player, but it wouldn't do anything. Now it actually makes a little connecting sound, and you see them fall back, which I thought was really fun. So yeah, they've definitely improved the emote system. So yeah, I have no idea what that other thing is going to be.
Right.
Also, am I stupid, or is our like reactive images not working on the stream?
I don't fucking care anymore. Like,
oh
you don't
yeah,
care?
you know,
That's
you
fair.
might be right. You might be right.
We're just all
I haven't seen either of us move.
we haven't moved at all.
I'm just going to switch them off and on again.
Okay.
Typical
it just
IT.
breaks entirely.
No.
Trey, let's get you on and off.
I wouldn't be surprised if like some of their events like never come back. And it's like, oh yeah, we were actually going to, but then things happened.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah, okay, so the
I
reactive
mean,
images
I
aren't
always hate that feeling of like missing out on something cool. Like there was a bunch of because I am in the US and I'm playing off of my US account. There was like a lot of stuff in there that I would have liked to. I mean, hell, I would have paid money for certain things because they don't cost as much as something like if you play like Fortnite or something like that. They're a lot cheaper than that. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can justify paying a few dollars for like the premium thing or whatever. But I can't do it.
Yeah.
I do want to say that is actually a large issue that I have with the game right now. And something that I hope that they do adjust when the game fully launches. A lot of these legendary skins that they have cost like 999 red rings, And going off on a small tangent here, to buy you can get red rings for free in the game by doing certain things. But to buy red rings anywhere near that, you're going to be spending like $200 plus.
Oh, fuck that. Fuck off with that
Yeah,
shit.
no, definitely.
So
not.
like I mean
Yeah.
you can pay $100 to get like 1,000 something red rings and something like that, but you'll only be able to buy one of those legendary skins that they have available in the shop because you just dropped $100. So if you want the next one, you'd have to drop another $100.
So is
So-
it there's a way to
That's
earn these,
insane.
right? Or is it just
There is a way to earn red rings through the game for free, but to get to the point where you're able to actually buy those characters with those red rings, you're going to be playing a long time, and by the time you have enough, the character may be out of the shop by then.
Oh, okay. So, one of the things that when I was talking about like, oh, that like because I'm in the U.S. and the game is technically not out here, I can't go for anything that I have no choice but to pay real money for it. Though I probably wouldn't pay for this because I'm seeing like the premium pass event for. I'm guessing this is the Valentine's event.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a few items in there. There's red rings. There's I think that's an emote, and
There's a few emotes, and then there's Ruby Metal Sonic, which is the big skin that's exclusive to that.
yeah, and you'd have to pay $9 for it. But
Yep.
again, game's not out here, so even if I wanted to, there's no way I'd be able to pick it up. Though. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that does kind of look cool,
Yeah.
but still.
I mean, on top of that, the battle passes that they have in the game, they both cost $9.99 in US dollars, I think. So if you want to get the regular battle pass, you have that for $9.99, but you also have like the event pass, like the Valentine's thing going on right now, for the exact same price. But the thing that they do about it is, whenever you're playing the game, if you have both passes unlocked, which I personally really like, is that it doesn't matter how much XP you get from one match in a game. The exact same amount of XP that you earn within a game is distributed to both passes. It doesn't like split it up or half it or anything. You get the exact same amount for both.
So here's my take on this, where it's like I am glad that Sonic Rumble is taking their time to make sure that all of like all the bugs are squashed at least as much as they can, and all their ducks are in order, all this stuff. To be honest, though, we've seen releases even from Sega where they were in a much worse state than what Sonic Rumble is in. So from a business perspective, I don't know why they even decided to delay it. I know they didn't announce a delay at first, but they kind of like, they didn't really announce like a release date. They still kind of haven't. They were just like, here's a time frame that we're planning on releasing this. So
And
they
the thing
could
is,
like
like,
push it to the summer.
Are
Well, there's a
people like
concept of a release date.
losing interest and forgetting about it as well? Because
Right,
it's kind
exactly.
of leaving it late for this kind of thing isn't good. I mean, anyone that says they're losing interest on Twitter isn't. Like that's
Oh yeah,
they're not,
no.
because they're tweeting about
Because
it.
as soon
But,
as the
like-
game comes out, they're gonna be there day one.
Like people are gonna play it.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you're tweeting about it, or if you've got a Sonic profile picture, no, you're not losing interest. You're going to play it. Like, don't even bother
The question
lying.
is, the other question is like, how long would they stay interested? Because if you don't have a lot to come back to, then you'll play it for a little bit, forget about it, and then somebody will bring it up. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot all about that. I used to play it.
That's the thing. They need a really.
I
good
don't know
event.
how true this is, and this could just be pure speculation, but I did see someone in the Sonic Rumble Discord server say that Rovio has a very small amount of people. Like the actual division for Rovio itself has like a few hundred, but there's also another division in Montreal that has only 6 employees.
A little startup
Yeah.
business.
Damn.
So I
boys.
again take that with what you will. I can't confirm that or deny that. That was just something that someone in the staff of the Discord server said publicly.
If that's the case, then jeez, that's not enough.
Well, if that
So
If that's the
it's
case,
probably
then,
a
like-
lack of servers.
yeah. Well,
Maybe
I mean, if that's the case,
yeah, I
then
mean,
I feel like they should have had like the foresight to not even announce a time frame to release it yet. You know what I mean? Like they should have like
I
just-
suppose
Yeah, but these-
maybe they
yeah, but they're
underestimated
dealing
like
with
how
Sonic
long.
fans.
Yeah, or maybe they underestimated how long it would take the server thing, because you wouldn't think that would actually be the part that takes a while, but like, probably is.
You know what? That makes sense.
But let's try and move on now, because we've got a very time crunched episode here, and we've got other topics to get to.
Yeah.
So the next one is Sonic and the Moon Facility. So we're doing a bit of fan game news. We did an episode recently, actually, well, not recently, but a few weeks ago, on Sonic and the Moon Facility. It's a fan game. It's the sequel to Sonic and the Fallen Star from the same developers. Trey, I swear to God, if I hear one more bit of echo, I'm gonna have an anxiety attack.
I'm just moving. I'm trying to move real quick. I'm trying to move. I was trying to adjust my seat. I'm sorry.
It wasn't
I'm
that.
sorry.
It's the fact I can hear myself.
I know. Well, I mean, like, ignore it. I don't know what else to tell you.
Trey, you
Let
might
me
need
move
some
my
headphones.
seat.
Ignore your mental illness.
So Sonic and the Moon Base, Among Us Sonic.
Sonic
what is
and
this?
the Moon Facility.
Among Us Sonic.
It's yeah, so it is the sequel to Sonic and the Fallen Star. Any of you guys played Sonic and the Fallen Star?
Yes, it is a
it's
brilliant
fantastic.
fan game.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
a-
it.
A little bit. It's really good. Yes.
It's terrific. It's kind of much more what I would like out of new classic Sonic games than what Sega have been doing. I know we're not supposed to compare official products and fan games, but when it comes to putting
Right.
Sonic and the fucking Fallen Star next to Sonic Superstars, come on, be real.
Oh yeah,
Be real.
Definitely.
Like, you can avoid
look at me,
comparisons
I'm
all
Sonic
you want.
fan base. Don't compare fan games to real games.
Especially when the fan games are better. Like we got so,
Okay,
like I
I won't-
saw people complaining about Spark the Electric Jester. I'm just like, man, the Sonic fan base is home to some real men of the people, isn't it? Knock on the indie
Yeah.
devs to prop up the big corpo.
I think there is, like, in terms of that conversation, like whether fan creators or official people do it better. I feel like now, especially with Shadow Gens, I feel like Sonic Teams finally got their crown back in that aspect.
Sure.
But the fact that they were getting their ass kicked by like a single guy team, like a singular dude, like in his room with Unity, making a high-speed platformer, and it felt more engaging than what Sonic had been in the past decade. Like
It's
that.
also
That's
just like I know that people have called me out on a double standard here, because I've said personally I think it's cool to compare fan games to official products if the fan game is better, but if it isn't, I don't think it's fair. And people have said, why the double standard? And it's like, well, one of them I pay for, the other one I don't. I would expect the one that I pay for to be better. Like the official product should be better than the fan game. Okay, if the fan game is better than the official product, it's both a testament to the talent of the people making it, but also just like, where are these visionaries in your camp? But moving away from that, Sonic and the Fallen Star, excellent game. And Sonic and the Moon Facility, it's obviously the sequel to that, but it's one that's ran into a bit of production trouble, basically. And I think basically the spark just died effectively. Like, it was a case of the person falling out of love with their own project. So it's like, we've moved on to other things. We're pursuing original projects now. So rather than it's not a finished state, but it's just like, we're just gonna put the latest version of the build, and all of the levels are perfectly playable. You can play it like you would Sonic and the Fallen Star, really. It's just you're going to see some areas where there's a lack of functionality, such as like some of the extras and stuff like that. There were cutscenes. There was much more of a story that they wanted in this one that they couldn't get in there this time. And there are a couple of bugs and glitches, and it's almost not even worth talking about them, because I know the development team already knows that they're there. So it's like, it's what it is. But the worst thing I encountered with what I played of it this morning was just not being able to get out of the special stages. Other than that, you can play it like it's a complete thing. And it's released to very little fanfare this time as well. And I think it is because this is a retired project rather than like a big finished thing. So I think basically like Stardrop just posted it on their YouTube channel, just like, it's out and that's it. Like, no special trailer or anything like that. And I gotta admit, I understand why they've done it that way, because they've fallen out of love with the project. But I think this project deserves a bit of celebration from what I've played of it. Because even if it's not in the state they wanted it to be, it still has all of the inventiveness and artistry of its predecessor. Like, that really striking art style is back and better than ever. The music is just as good as it was before. The gameplay and level design is as good, in some parts even more exciting than it was in Fallen Star. like there's so much here that's worth celebrating. And I think if you didn't tell me this was unfinished, save for the glitch I mentioned, I wouldn't necessarily know. I'd just assume, oh, they just didn't do as many cutscenes this time or something like that. But it's like, yeah, the story's in like a Google Doc, so you can see really the comprehensive story. But it's the thing is the world building in these level aesthetics is so good anyway. You kind of get an idea of what's going on. Like, there's a lot of visual storytelling in the stage design itself, which there was in Fallen Star as well. Like, I praised Discount District for being like, this is a shop in the Sonic universe. This is really fun, you know? Like, and there's more of that here. But I think the fans should, you know, if you saw like, oh, it's not a finished product, I don't want to really bother with it. Don't do that. You're missing out because you're doing yourself a disservice. Yeah, it's everything that I loved about Fallen Star is back here again. And even in its unfinished state, I'd still say it's better than Sonic Superstars. It's still better than a lot of official classic Sonic releases. Like, it's... the thing is, since, like, Noah Copeland and Stardrop, and since, you know, projects like Triple Trouble 16-bit, Fallen Star, I've kind of been thinking, especially since Superstars as well, even though I would like it if we were still catering to the classic fan base with Sega officially as well, I don't mind the idea of handing off classic Sonic games to the fans effectively, because the fan games are literally everything I want these games to be at the moment. Like, games like that is what I actually want, rather than Superstars, you know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, if they announce tomorrow, we won't be making any more classic Sonic games, personally, I don't know if I'd really... Besides the legacy of it, I guess, I don't know if I'd really give a shit, because it's like, we're kind of... But then you don't want to take fan games for granted either. Like, because clearly they're not going to work on this forever. Clearly, we're not getting a Sonic and the Fallen Star 3 or something like that. Right. But it's just...
And then the other thing is that you might not get games of that quality because you might end up with something that uses like a really bad engine or just something that the level design is just really not there.
Yeah,
so,
there's often
that's
a lot
like
of
the only
learning
other
curves
difference
involved. Not everyone is
like fan games, like the quality is all over the place.
Yeah, not everyone is as clearly experienced as Copeland and Stardrop and stuff like that. But as it is right now, I'll say this as someone who I've made the joke of fuck 2D Sonic and stuff like that, but no, I do love 2D Sonic and I do love classic Sonic. I do love the classics, and as someone who does pine for another classic Sonic game every once in a while, like these games are doing it. These games like.
They're scratching an itch.
Yeah, if
they're scratching it. I personally would really like. I know it's not the Moondrop facility, but Sonic Galactic is another project worth looking at.
I've heard great things about that. I haven't had the chance to actually play
that
one
one.
Myself.
Is really nice. That one is very good.
I'll have to check that out because I saw like a trailer for it recently and was like, I want to give that a go. So
yeah, I'd recommend it. That one's coming along really nice, and it seems like it's going to be another one of those where it's like it's a must-play fan game. But we'll see how it turns out if it's ever completed, because that's the other thing you got to remember. Some fan games just like
it does hit that roadblock, and it's just like, well,
it's like Moon Facility. There's always the possibility that it just never gets finished.
And the thing is, more often than not, it won't. I've seen there are people that get quite pissy actually when fan projects get cancelled and stuff. And the reality is, when people do a fan project, they set out with only the best intentions. They just want to make something nice and share it with the people. That's the plan. Put their little skills to the test.
And the other thing is that, like, you are not owed the completion of that fan game.
No, you're not. That, and also, you're upset the game didn't come out. There's probably been a whole process of heartbreak that has led up to the point of cancelling this. Yeah. So don't get pissy at them, because also, whenever someone cancels a fan project, they are doing it with a broken heart, like in some form. Even if they're moving on to better things.
I mean, you got to think about it. They're doing it in their own free time. It's not like they're being paid to make it, you know. So like they have other things to focus on.
It's not like they have a Patreon or anything.
Well, and also, like I think this case with the Moon Facility is another thing where like they've kind of already done this before with the first game, right? Where it's like they already the Fallen Star game is pretty much it's completed, right? Is it completed?
Do you mean Moon Facility? Moon Facility, yeah, like the content of it is all there. It's just
no. I meant the first game.
The first game.
The first game is absolutely
is a
finished,
complete experience.
It's not only is it finished, it was even like patched later to implement some feedback elements as well.
I'm saying this because, like y'all said, no one's getting paid. They're doing this in their free time. The only thing that they really have in terms of like any sort of like feedback from it is either just like admiration or criticism or something like that. Like it's almost like a learning practice basically. Like
and if
they're basically
like all criticisms have to take into account the limitations that they're working with, and also take into account whether or not the criticism's helpful or not. You know.
Well, yeah. Well, what I'm also saying is that like, in my opinion, I feel like after you kind of like get the accolades and everything that you like, and the criticism that you had, or the criticisms that are bestowed upon you, I feel like with these fan projects, I would actually hope that they would move on to create original IPs. That way they can get paid, and that way they can get the accolades, and that way they can do this stuff. So maybe it's just a case where like the spark died out because it's almost like they're doing the same thing again, where they did with Falling Star, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the thing is as well, like, they worked their asses off on these games. They gave us a whole Sonic game, like something that you would happily pay for. Even like in the 90s, you'd pay full price for. And they gave us that for free, and they worked on that for free. It was a labor of love for Sonic.
Yeah.
The fact they even managed to get one of those out is enough for me to never have a bad fucking thing to say about them canceling a future project. Like, the fact that they did that in the first place, I'm just grateful for that. And I tell you what, I'm endlessly grateful that they released this build of the game, because it is still a complete experience. Like, if I didn't know any better in a lot of parts, I would just think, oh, they just didn't do as many cutscenes. That would be it. But, like, it's a fantastic little feat that they've achieved with Moon Facility. Like, it really is. I haven't beaten the whole thing, but I'm so impressed with what I've seen so far, and I'm just so glad as well, because I did lower my expectations a bit when I heard that it wasn't going to release in a finished state, but as soon as I started playing, I was like, that almost didn't even need to be said. There's only a couple of little game-breaking bugs that I experienced just once or twice that it was like, okay, so yeah, this isn't a finished game, but fuck me, what's here is fantastic.
Yeah, I could agree. Like, I'm actually playing Fallen Star right now as a refresher, and like, my lord, this game looks and plays beautifully. I need to play Moon Facility.
It would make such a really cool evolution of like the classic Sonic aesthetic as well. I love the art style of these games.
Oh yeah.
And even like the
how,
colors,
the shields
as well.
are different shapes too, and all that stuff too. Like, that's so cool.
I feel like it really takes a lot of inspiration from after and before the sequel.
I mean, it probably does, because that is kind of like the granddaddy of like 2D Sonic fan games, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
And like, there's lots of ways that, like, you know, I can't say for sure with Stardrop, because obviously Stardrop is their own person, but it's like a lot of fan projects will sometimes be inspired by other fan projects. It's like, I want to make like a Spider-Man fan film at some point, and it's not because I was inspired by Spider-Man No Way Home, it's because I was inspired by my buddy Joey, who made a Spider-Man fan film back in the day. So like, I think that's often how it goes, and you will have little signs of that love, that appreciation in the product in the end. I don't know if that's true of Sonic and the Fallen Star and Sonic and the Moon Facility, and it's partly because I haven't actually really properly played Sonic before and after the sequel properly yet. I've got them installed, I just haven't got around to playing them. But
I think the cutscenes might be hard to watch now because
it had something to do with Flash or something. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I expect it will be. I expect it will be a bit dated.
No, I think there's a fan project out there that like reworked those games so you could watch the cutscenes. I may be wrong, but I think there was a fan project that came in and like did some quality of life changes.
Oh,
I
so
know
it's
somebody
like
was
they
trying to do a fan remake of it, but
yeah,
I don't think it ever went anywhere.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but it is going to be interesting seeing how like fan games and stuff are still going to be like presented in the future, because like I feel like with classic Sonic in particular, everything's almost been done, if that makes sense. Not saying that things can't be done again or better, but like I don't know. Maybe.
Nope.
Don't scare me like that.
You got him again.
Like that.
No. It's not you. It's me. It's me. Don't worry. I don't know. I feel like I play through a good bit of these classic Sonic fan games, and they're all fantastic. But it's like, okay, what more does this tank have to offer, basically? You know,
Yeah.
From like,
But the fans
like
have
an-
done a great job
yeah.
at finding new things to get from that. Like,
that's true.
again, like I think around the time of like Mania or something, like I was craving like new levels, but it is that kind of question of like, Sonic levels are more archetypes than anything else now. What new stuff can you really come up with? And then like Superstars came along, it's like it's going to be all original levels, but they were about as original as the levels in Sonic 4 Episode 2, really. So it's like, oh, is it just going to be now? Like, there's going to be like a coastal hill area. You're going to have a casino. You'll have a temple, stuff like that. And then Sonic and the Fallen Star comes along, and it's just like, here's like a amusement park in a fucking volcano. Here is a fucking crazy ass shopping center. And it's like, yeah, there are so many new level archetypes in that game. And even down to like inventive gimmicks as well. There's like a sort of a wall climbing water gimmick in one of the acts in Moon Facility, and it's just so refreshing to the flow state. They've also got a really interesting level design sensibility as well, in that there's a lot of moving kind of left and right. Like, sometimes you won't always be just moving to the right to get to the goal. There's a lot of verticality. The loops always feel uncomfortably big, so you never quite know if you're even going to make it with a single spin dash. It's really cool. I love... There's so much ingenuity in these particular games, so... I definitely want to see what Star Drop and the crew do next anyway, just because I like the way they make things.
Yeah. I'll be honest, like, I'd want them to just go full on with like a new IP, you know, like just create something original, but with the same kind of like design architecture that they've made with classic Sonic. Almost like a Freedom Planet type deal, but like your own thing. And
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd play the fuck out of it.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
Like, these people deserve to get paid, is what I'm saying. Like, these people, like, and they can't get paid with fan stuff,
sure.
so it's like you deserve to get paid with your own IP. Like, just do a reskin of what you already have, and trust me, you'll be fine. You know
But
what I mean?
also,
Like,
if Sega was smart, they would totally buy the rights to these games.
they would,
give
yeah, they
Star
would,
Drop a
they would put
sack
them
of
on
cash.
Switch.
Yeah, give them a sack of cash, publish it on Switch.
This is a great Switch game. Like, yeah,
I mean, hell, Capcom did that with Street Fighter Cross Mega Man.
I remember
you-
that, and that was so cool. Yeah,
If
And the quality
Sega-
of that game, while it wasn't as good, it was still awesome to see. With
If
this,
Sega... Yeah, go on.
this would be a system seller. Well, not a system seller, but like you definitely get a lot of people buying this.
Yeah, if Sega released it, like if Sega bought Sonic and the Fallen Star, like they just turn up at the doorsteps of all the people involved with a huge sack of, like several sacks of cash, several trucks worth of cash, and just said, hey, we'll buy this off of you, and we'll sell it, and you'll get a bit of commission. Sega would get as good reviews for that as they did with Sonic Mania. I have no doubt in my mind that Sonic and the Fallen Star and a finished version of Sonic and the Moon Facility would absolutely review as well as Sonic Mania did. If not, maybe even better, just for how refreshing the art style is.
Yeah, I mean, it's also just a case of like Sega being out of touch sometimes too, because like even back then when Sonic Mania was released, like people were surprised that people cared about like the pixelated art style and stuff like that, like the higher ups did, you know?
Yeah,
like,
even down to the fact that also like they very much carved what a classic Sonic game looks like now, like the tone of classic Sonic, and Sonic and the Fallen Star wouldn't really fit into that because it's got much more of a kind of a kind of more urban kind of a vibe to it, but also like Sonic and Tails are so cheeky coded in that game as well. They're so cheeky towards each other. Like it's something you'd consider out of character in an official product, and by Sega's standards, that means the end of the world. That's like fucking apocalypse now.
Also, I think if Sega started like if Sega were to do something like that, where it's like, oh, they pay the developers whatever money they felt or they could agree on for that game to release it. One, it would piss off the people who have already been downloading it for free, and two, it would probably motivate other people to like bother the hell out of Sega for this. It's like, hey, well, there's this fan game over here as well. Do it with this too.
Yeah. I guess it's a if I was CEO for a day, pie in the sky dream. But yeah, have any of you had the chance to diddle around with Moon Facility yet?
Ooh, don't
Not
like
yet.
I've
no.
downloaded it. I
don't-
just
I don't
haven't
like that.
really taken a look at it yet.
Please pick a different word.
Frank, grow up. Get your mind out of the gutter, boy. But yeah, okay. So we'll move on to, I guess, our feature topic. Half of us at this table have played the Sonic Racing Crossworlds closed beta test. And speaking of closed betas, Dylan also played it, but he couldn't be here today because he's.
Oh, look at me! I paid $500 to play a beta.
Oh, look at me! I saved my money.
He just gave up.
My money.
Save my money.
I saved my money, and now I can buy adult things like stocks and credit cards.
And Bitcoin.
And Bitcoin. And Tesla shares. So, but yeah, okay. So, Trey, Frank, what did you think of the beta?
Yeah. How'd you guys like it?
Did you enjoy it?
How'd you feel about the controls?
It drove.
Like the new control scheme.
It controlled.
It drove. Did you
It-
say it drove?
The game drove. You know, it you can steer. You can see other racers. There's an audience. There's a road. Yeah, it's a racing game.
What say you, Trey? What do you got to say for yourself? Trey?
Hold on. I was muted for a second. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
Okay. Like in terms of Crossworlds in general, or like
Yeah, what'd you think of
what are
the
you
closed
talking about?
beta test?
Yeah.
What'd you
What'd
think?
you? Yeah.
I didn't
How'd you
play
like
it.
playing it?
I didn't play
No,
it.
no. How'd you like playing it,
Didn't play it.
Trey,
No,
stop
no, I
lying
did
to the
not
audience.
play it.
You played it.
dude?
Did I
played
play
it.
it?
You played it. Yeah, we played it.
Okay.
We
I
played
We
it
all
think
together,
played
actually.
it collectively.
I think okay. You know what? Fair enough. You know what? Maybe I got it mixed up with Transformed, but
You
so
don't have
this-
Transformed, really?
You haven't played Transform?
Wow.
No,
What do
I've
you mean
played
you haven't
Transformed.
played Transform? I'm just imagining us as little
No,
nerds perching ourselves on the fucking bird bath. We go, you haven't played Transformed? Well, Trey's just trying to eat bread on a bench.
So like, what is it? I thought it was fun.
My favorite part is when they, when the wheels were moving. That was fun.
Yeah, my favorite part is whenever I could like turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
it steered.
Yeah,
It's steered.
it's steered.
Sometimes in the wrong direction. Sometimes
Yeah.
into a wall.
It'd be like last week's
Um,
episode. Sonic Racing Crossworlds had a little racing in it.
Had a little bit. Had a little bit of racing.
A little bit of racing.
That is so funny.
Raisin Brand had a little bit of
Raisin
raisin.
bread.
I am noticing the lack of Danica Patrick. So
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
I want my Wreck-It Ralph and my Banjo
Yeah,
Kazooie
I
from
want my
Banjo-Kazooie Nuts
Simon
and
Yogg's
Bolts.
cast, guys. Come on.
I want my Metal Sonic DLC that's only in physical copies.
No, but
Oh, yeah,
okay.
that's right.
I tell you what, Dave, what did you think of the
Yeah.
beta?
I personally thought it was pretty solid. I mean, there are some small issues such as item balancing, but aside from that, the game, much like we were talking about with Rumble earlier, the game feels finished.
I
Yeah,
don't
like,
know
I-
if I would be with this one. I don't know if I'd be as satisfied with this being the finished state. Now, I know some of you have read the title and think I'm going to say some big shocking thing, but I had to get you guys to watch it somehow. I don't think Crossworlds is bad. I think it's actually really fun, but it does have problems by the metric fuck ton, in my opinion. There's a lot here
yeah.
that needs to be addressed. And I think there are some things that just by the nature of the game will definitely be addressed by just having different modes and stuff. But right now, I will say I think my hype for Crossworlds since the beta has slightly decreased compared to what it was before.
Okay.
Well, yeah, because you're not playing it anymore.
Shut
Yeah,
up!
it's
Fuck
gone.
Steven Universe. But but no, okay. But like on a whole, I'd say I did have fun with it. And I don't know
Yeah.
what extent of this beta is what they're really going to be looking into, whether it's more network features or whether it's more other things. But I mean, they did
I think
put
it
out
has something to do with networking.
they did put out a little survey at the end. Did you do that, Dave?
Yes, I did.
Did you do it, Frank? Trey, did you do the survey?
I did not.
What?
did-
What?
They got him.
They got him again.
Guys, they put the surveys out there for a reason.
Yeah, you're not supposed to.
He didn't do the survey.
You play the game in exchange for your feedback. It's not just a thing you do.
Oh,
Oh no, I do it for content.
I do for the love. But I think people would be foolish not to put even just their slightest little nitpicks in those surveys, because it's like they put this out there to get your feedback. So no matter how big or small your issue with it is, put it in the feedback survey. No matter how much of a skill issue it sounds like, put it in the feedback survey. And one of the things that I did do was, after playing Crossworlds, I also checked out the other racing games as well, just for comparison's sake. Went back onto the original Sonic and All-Stars Racing, Racing Transformed, and Team Sonic Racing, just to kind of compare things a little bit. And there are definitely areas where Crossworlds does fall short. But I guess the main thing, Dave, you mentioned item balancing, and I think it's kind of unanimous that the item balancing fucking sucks in this game. Like, I would say to the point of being egregious.
It is, like, again, when I was streaming it back when the test was taking place, there was one race where I ran into somebody with a monster truck, and then, like, within seconds, there were other people who also had monster trucks, and it's just like...
Yeah.
Huh?
They give the monster trucks out like it's a party favor. But also, the monster trucks, they're not even good. Like, these are the alternative to, I guess, the superstar moves, or the all-star moves, sorry. Where, like, in the original game, Sonic would turn into Super Sonic and stuff like that. And it was just, if you were lagging behind, it would give you a chance to get back up to speed. The monster trucks suck, in my opinion. For one, they last for literal seconds. Like, literal seconds. Secondly, they can't really drift either, and they don't have an auto turn like Supersonic either. There's no assisted turning.
They don't really add any speed either, I don't think. It doesn't really feel like there's any speed, and like I know you can go off-road with them, but like with the amount of time that it takes from you having it and then being gone, you might still get hit by that off-road section that'll just slow you down instantly.
And being able to reliably drift is worth more than just going off-road, I think. But also, going off-road is another fucking problem. I think the difficulty balancing in this was not good compared to the previous ones. In previous Sonic Racing games, and pretty much any racing game, if you go off the track, yes, you lose some speed, but it's a gradual decrease, allowing you time to get back onto the track. With this one, it cuts your speed almost instantaneously to absolute bottom, to the point where
you barely even touch it, and you're gone. You're done.
You can have literally one wheel on the grass, and your speed is cut completely, and it will take you a little longer to get back onto the track than it did getting off of it. So that sucks as well. In terms of the item balancing, I think the biggest issue was recovery time. Because obviously I would expect certain attacks to have disadvantage. I get hit by a fucking boxing glove, I'm going to get knocked back maybe a place or two. In this game, it takes you so fucking long to recover from certain attacks. It can be just a boxing glove, and it will take like 2 seconds longer than it should for you to recover from it. The worst, in my opinion, was when you get squished by the monster truck, to the point where you're just going to need a monster truck. You can be literally at first place, get squished by a monster truck, and then be all the way back at 9th place within 2 seconds. And it's like, okay, this is ridiculous. It locks your turning, it locks your acceleration, and there's too many moves that do that same fucking thing. It's the monster truck, it's the little razor that slices the car in two, the punch things all have that same effect. And it's like, there's so many things that do this. There's not a lot of boosts, though. You don't have a lot of chances of getting a boost or a shield or something. You've just got a lot of that. Right. And I think that is the biggest problem with this game, which made later playthroughs, once all the excitement had wore off, into a bit frustrating, I guess.
Yeah, that's the item balancing, as well as the glitch of the main mechanic, which is whenever you warp to like the another stage, like in the middle of the race. Like, I saw a lot of that being like...
You see, it's funny because I don't think I ever came across that issue. I'm assuming that maybe a network desyncing issue more than like something that actually goes wrong within the game. I think that's tied.
So here's what happened.
Yeah, go on.
So you know how you can choose between the two rings of where you want to warp to in the middle of the race, where you go to like the dinosaur land or something like that. Like there's been a great deal of like videos where people would try to go through the ring and it would not warp them there. It would just careen them off into like the off the stage whenever they try to go into the ring.
Oh shit!
And they would always respawn until eventually the game was like, oh shit, like you're not where you're supposed to be, and then just warp you back to where you're supposed to be. But whenever it warps you back, the track is now completely desynced from itself. So the collision is like shifted like a whole like 3 meters off. So people are trying to like go through the stage normally, but they keep running into invisible walls as they're like trying to go through the stage or like finish the race or whatever.
I see.
It's one of those bugs where it's like it could be a network desyncing issue, but man, that's gonna suck if they're not able to at least like patch that a little bit. You know what I mean? Like
like fortunately I didn't get that once, but like man, that does sound
I
did
not get that at all.
It could be network desyncing, but even then, like like if we can fix that, that would be cash money. Then okay, so other little bits and pieces. I think the Crossworld thing is kind of very much the illusion of choice, but that might just be a thing once you get into the main game. There'll probably be way more little hoops that you can jump through. But I noticed, after the first couple of races, there was almost no point in giving people a choice of Crossworlds. People would always go for question mark land. Like, we want to see what the mystery one is. When you've played through all the others, you just want to see what the mystery one is. But I think one larger, potentially even more egregious issue is that this game is trying to put more races on the tracks than ever before, but the tracks don't feel wide enough for that. They haven't even widened up from previous ones, like playing previous Sonic races. Like, they're definitely wider now, but it still doesn't quite feel wide enough for how many races are on these tracks. And there's very rarely a point where you can just glide along without something conking into you. And it just doesn't feel good. Like, I think one of the most rewarding things about a racing game, less than winning, is that point where you're just speeding along uninterrupted. But because everyone's got a power-up at all times, and there's so many fucking people, things are knocking about, there's always power-ups, you're not likely to stay in first for very long at all. It's very difficult to even dodge things. I don't even think there is a way of doing that. And
there is. I've noticed, especially when it comes to like the slime thing, the weight thing, and maybe even the dark chow. I'm not sure. Whenever you have a ring that spawns above you, if you boost enough, like if you get enough speed, you can completely avoid that attack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then also there's the gadget system, though. And like some of the gadgets on there felt like they should have just been part of the game anyway. Like there's the quick tricks gadget. That feels like that should have just been like that from the get-go. I don't know why you'd put a delay between tricks. Like, what do you think about that, Dave? Like,
I mean, I personally think the idea of the gadget system is unique. I think the reasoning for fast tricks being a gadget may be because fast tricks may give you like a little bit of extra speed. Again, I didn't really notice it that much, other than it just looking like it might give you a little bit more speed.
That was my main thing, was just player feedback felt better on the fast tricks. So I just kept that on. I didn't really know what advantage it was giving me. It just felt bad.
So my I think my like theory is that there was a lot of people, including myself, who were not the biggest fan of like how the characters would like keep saying like
the same thing,
or like Sonic in particular saying like good, you know, and like
nice,
or like jamming,
And
so maybe
Amy's
it's a
like
thing.
and 1 and 2 and 3. It's like yeah.
It's like okay, that might be like a Band-Aid thing where it's like okay, well here's like a here's like a fix to the problem. That way you don't have to hear the tricks as much, basically. But I don't know if that's necessarily the case either. It is weird though, because I feel like it should just be the fast tricks, just make it to where the characters don't say it all the time. You know, that would be my ideal thing.
Even just get some different takes in there, like.
Right, yeah. I'm wondering if it also has something to do with getting hit midair. Because I know that for a fact if you're doing tricks and someone uses like a defense item, like the tornado kind of like swirling thing that you can get,
Yeah.
if you get hit midair, you no longer can do tricks and it like reduces your speed greatly. Like
Yeah.
completely. So I wonder if that has something to do with like neglecting, like maybe you can recover faster with faster tricks. I don't know.
Possibly. Yeah. I'm not sure, but like,
I
yeah.
mean, I did see some person. I did see someone saying one thing they wish they changed is that in the previous Sonic Racing games, you'd be penalized if you spammed tricks in the air. So like if you got greedy with them, Sonic would have a little fail animation and he wouldn't get the boost of speed. I won't lie, I do disagree with that. I do not think this game needs to find any more ways to punish the player. I think it's already
you get punished enough
yeah.
by the items, definitely.
Yeah, it's like let's leave those.
I will actually say that I know a lot of people make the comparison to Mario Kart a lot, but for me personally playing the game, it felt a lot like Crash Team Racing, especially with the item balancing. The item balancing feels a lot more similar to Crash Team Racing than it does Mario Kart. Because Crash Team Racing, like, you can have some pretty chaotic moments within that game.
Yeah.
I think that's also one of my issues as well, though, is that, like, what I got from this was chaotic was the vibe. Like, and it's like, is it always going to be chaotic? And I don't think it will. I think this is something that's going to be mitigated by other game modes, custom lobbies. We can set how many players are going to be there. But this world play feature just by itself on its lonesome, I was like, yeah, sometimes I just want to drive without having everything up my arse at all times. Like,
yeah. Right. Like a no items mode is probably inevitable, you know, and like
yeah, or just like custom games where you don't have like fucking, what was it, 22 players?
Yeah. Like, honestly, that is surprising because I feel like with the chaotic nature of the game itself, you would think that they would lessen the player count almost to like accommodate that way you're not like overloading yourself, basically, like sensory overload. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like 10 or 12 would have been like the perfect like amount for races in this game because of the chaotic nature, but I guess they had different plans.
What else was there? What other things are there to kind of talk about with it? The vehicle customization I thought was really good. Like, that was a really robust system.
That's
like,
so cool.
And I want to mention the thing that I suggest that they should do. I don't know how you guys would feel about it, but personally, I think there should be a system where people could upload their custom built cars and the community can just go in and download the
like Animal Crossing does with like outfits and stuff. I'd love that.
Well, like even like a Need for Speed does that too, where like you can create like custom vinyls and then upload those custom vinyls to like online stuff. You know,
I think you need somebody to moderate those because of, you know.
Oh, I mean, definitely you would, but I mean, like, just the concept is there.
Would you even get any dirty content on there though? Because like, you've only got like a set amount of stickers, and it's not like you can make a dick out of it. Like,
I mean,
with the way that you can customize some of those decals,
people get creative.
Could.
That's gonna be a Black Ops game, like the little picture that you can make in like the original Black Ops game. It's gonna be like that. You're gonna see like dicks and other shit in there.
I just
I feel like
I made several different incarnations of the Batmobile, and I made something that I called the Charmy-mobile as well, out of like motorbug parts, but then put a Sonic face decal on it, then added black stripes to it. I was like, this is the Charmy-mobile, and then I just had fucking Omega driving around in it.
See, this is why I wish that this was on multiple platforms rather than just PS5, because for those of us who don't have it, I mean, we apparently missed out, but I could see why they left it to one platform. I will say Capcom made their beta test open to all platforms. So what about that?
I do think we're going to get another test in the future. At least I would hope so, because with this test we did not get the extreme gear, and personally I think that's what everyone's really looking forward to. I mean, I know we have the vehicles and like they're all customizable and stuff, but I feel like as soon as the game launches, everyone's gonna ditch vehicles and just go straight for the extreme gear, because that's what everyone's been wanting for years.
I think the problem with that that has me believing that they wouldn't do another closed beta. Sorry, Trey. Especially not one with the
No, it's
Extreme
okay.
Gear, is that I think that's going to be the difference between a lot of people purchasing the game and just playing the beta and getting their fill. Like, I think they got to save something for the end product, and I feel like we already got quite a lot with the tracks that we did, which I guess we'll talk about in a bit, but, like, I, for one, am happy they haven't played all of their cards with this one, and I hope they won't. I hope they'll just go to the finish thing.
If they do anything along the lines of another beta, even if it's the same stuff that you guys got in that one, and they just want to test out like crossplay, their like how good crossplay could be, then I'd be happy with that.
Well, I was gonna say in the case of like the Extreme Gear thing, I don't know how robust that customization is gonna be. I feel like people are gonna really take to the customization for their carts because I've already seen like a Dreamcast like customization card that looked very sick. The Batmobile stuff that you
I saw
I mean,
I saw
I'm
the
not
Incredible as well.
personally.
yeah.
I'm personally not sure how far they'll go with Extreme Gear, but having that slot there in the vehicle section with the question marks, that's obviously where they're going to go.
No, it's for bikes.
And we have seen in some gameplay clips, Sonic is using different boards. Like, I think there's one shot of him using his actual Blue Star from the game. Jet uses his board, obviously. So I'm assuming in terms of customization when it comes to that, you can just choose a board that may be specific to characters and then customize the things on it, like the paint job, maybe adding decals and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is that it's not going to be nearly as robust as the cart one because you can't really see much of it. You can probably see like the... What's up?
Look in the back rooms. Hang on, wait. Look, it's the Charmy Mobile. I'm gonna pull it up on stream.
That's good.
That's pretty sick. Yeah. By the way, I want to let y'all know I will probably have to leave in about like 5-ish minutes to get ready for my little gig that I have to go to tonight. But
Sorry, you were saying?
Oh, I was gonna say I have to probably leave in about 5-ish minutes because I gotta go to a gig tonight. But yeah, no, I am curious about the Extreme Gear in particular because the Extreme Gear, like in Sonic Riders, they do not control like cars, like at all. But I feel like they are gonna control like the cars in this game, like a reskinned car, which is gonna be very disappointing for me because I'm one of the few masochists that like how the Extreme Gear controls in the original Riders.
I mean, I was saying I like how the Extreme Gear controls in the original Riders. The problem was the difficulty balancing with that game.
Yeah.
Oh,
but,
it
like,
definitely had a huge learning curve.
Yeah, if you sucked, if you were just bad. But like, like I don't know, like I'm not one to judge.
Me, I'm so good with Extreme Gear.
Look at me,
Look at me, I'm such a skilled player.
But yeah.
What else was so? What do we think of the tracks then? Like, I suppose, especially like you, Dave, given that you got the chance to play it.
Yeah. Personally, I mean, obviously with it being closed beta in a sense, there wasn't a lot to offer. There were times where like I'd get a track and I'd really like it, but then every other match that I get into after that would just be that exact track again, and I'd sort of like lose interest over time. I think for a lot of people, when it comes to the most favorited track, I think a lot of people really liked Wonder Museum a lot.
I noticed people really liked the Rainbow Garden. That was an odd thing, though.
Yeah, Rainbow Garden is really nice.
The second day, I could not seem to get Water Palace, no matter how hard I tried, every time. And then I had, like, 4 Rainbow Gardens on the jump, and then 4 E-Stadiums on the jump. So I don't know what was going on with that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I
mean, Metal Harbor was really nice. The Crossworlds that we got were pretty fun. I did not like Sky Road, oddly. Sky Road feels a bit probably because of all the sharp turns that it has. But I mean, like, overall, I feel like the tracks did a really good job at showcasing what the game is capable of doing. I feel like the track selection was all right with that. I know despite that Water Palace doesn't have the remix on Rush that everyone was hoping for, I do kind of like the music that they use, though.
The one thing I will say is, from all the music I've heard, I can't really make out any of the in-level music because, like, all the sound effects are so fucking loud.
Yeah.
But what I did hear I am not big on the choir synth that they've used.
Yes, I was just about to say this. I was just about to say this because I hate feeling like a hater, because I'm not. I'm not trying to be a hater, but like whenever I first heard the artificial choir synth or whatever, in like the main title screen, I'm just thinking in my head like, please let that be a placeholder, because that just sounds very goofy to my ears.
Never say placeholder when it comes to Sonic music. That's the
I know,
cementing
I know. But half of me, because like,
look at me.
I don't think it's a placeholder because
Oh, look, it's
I
just
don't
a
think-
placeholder.
I don't think it's a placeholder, because it is played on nearly every third lap track, and I don't feel like anyone's gonna go back, or the composer's gonna go back and re-record those
Not
parts.
this
It
way.
could be that if you give them feedback on it, maybe they might. But I don't think that many people are going to give feedback.
Nah,
I did. I,
mean, yeah,
actually
no.
did. I wrote everything in my feedback notes. Like every little thing that I wanted to see changed, I made sure to write it down.
I
Even
feel
mentioning
like the only track that had it that was good was Ocean Palace, but outside
Yeah.
of that, everything else felt kind of like for Metal Harbor, for example, it doesn't even sound like Metal Harbor.
yeah, they try to do like
sounded very
they try to do like the sliding down the I guess like the vent thing at the end of Metal Harbor, where it's like
oh, I recognize that, but it sounded very
Yeah,
Mario.
Yeah, I was gonna say, instead of it being electric guitar, it was that artificial choir that was singing that part, and I was just like, God, I don't know, I'm just not a fan. It just sounds weird to my ears.
I'm
Like,
not
that's
gonna
just-
lie.
that's just it.
Between Shadow Generations and this, it's just like.
tough.
I understand that this is purely subjective, but I just wish we'd stop
Right.
subbing out rock music for electronic stuff now. Like, Sonic music should not just be one thing. Like, there's so much
Oh, yeah,
electronic
no.
now. And every new remix
yeah.
is more electronic than the last. Like, can we dial it back?
Yeah.
I liked when we
It-
had,
it-
like, guitars, saxophones, and real drums rather than
Im-
machines.
In my opinion, like, if they're gonna change up the music, then like I feel like an art style change would also have to fit that as well, because we're still looking at just modern Sonic as he is, but
Oh,
now
yeah.
with like
Speaking
different,
of-
but now with different musical motifs, and it just, in my opinion, it's not even that it's a jarring thing to the art style. It just doesn't sound that great to me, and I don't know if it's just a thing where I don't know, maybe I have just like a different palette than like other people do,
Well, part
or
of the
like a
reason why,
different tolerance of things.
Team Sonic Racing's OST was as good as it was because it was as eclectic as it was. There were so many different voices in there, and I don't mean literal voices, but like there were so many different like
Like
styles
composers
and stuff. And like
yeah.
the same goes for like Sonic Adventure. Listen to any of the best Sonic soundtracks, and there's a mix of different genres there. Like maybe there's a dominant one, but
Yeah.
there's a mix of them. Nowadays, everything is drum and bass with maybe a little hint of other genres in there.
Yeah, the
Or-
amen break. You know, I've always said it. Like Sonic soundtracks are at their best whenever they are a melting pot of different influences and different textures.
Yeah, but with a
and,
through line
like,
as well. Like
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
Whereas
with a
now,
through line. Yes.
now it feels like it's like through Shadow Generations. A lot of my complaint there was like, God, Shadow's been home to so many cool different genres like grunge, rock, and stuff, but all of this is more drum and bassy than ever before. And every
Yeah.
remix is going for the same overall thing. And now we've got Team Sonic Racing, where the music sounds very uniform with itself. Like the title screen uses the same overall instrumentation as the level themes and stuff, and it's all very samey. And I think that's going to
Yeah.
get old. And it's like, God, fuck me, since when are we complaining about soundtracks in Sonic games now? But like,
Yeah.
I will say, I did write that down in my feedback notes that I wasn't fond of those choir synths because I wrote down everything. I was just like, whether or not this is going to be something that they're going to change or not, I'm not taking that for granted, but I was like, this is my chance to just say how I feel about it, and if anything's going to change based on what I say, then yippee. If it doesn't, that doesn't mean it's a write-off or anything, but I even went so far as to say, like, you've clearly put a lot of effort into the UI, especially with that lovely little loading animation of Sonic that, like, goes, let's go at the end of it. Like, there's a really nice pristine UI, but I said it's brought down by these dated-looking renders for every character. Sonic and Knuckles look like fucking dorks with their lower lips on display. Cream the Rabbit doesn't look like she's ever seen a light in her life. Like, it brings it down. It looks cheap now. It looks dated. And it's like everything else here has had so much effort put into it, even down to the little Sonic forces Robotnik UFO outside the window of the little lobby, which I really like. Other weird things, though, were like, Sonic is really shiny and glossy in this game, while with Shadow, he's not. Like, Shadow's fine, but Sonic, for some reason, under harsh lighting, just turns into a fucking porcelain lamp, so I'm not sure what that's all about. And the tracks as well. This is one thing that they're not going to fix. It's way too late for this. It is something that I will be a bit disappointed by. But the tracks themselves, I look at the Crossworlds more often than not and say, I wish this was the entire race. Like, the Dino Jungle bit especially. I would so much rather race around Dino Jungle than I would Ocean View. Like, or even a new stage like Wonder Museum or whatever. Dino Jungle just feels perfect for racing, and that one little bit you're in there is great, but it lasts like less than a minute, and it's like, damn, I was really looking forward to Dino Jungle, and you mean to tell me that's it? Like, but we got Ocean View as a full track, and it's fine. Wonder Museum, I do think it's cool, but it's a bit of a missed opportunity as well, because this is a museum of Sonic history, but all it has is a couple of tornadoes, some ancient statues. There is an Echidna statue, which is really cool, and then some dinosaur skeletons. But it's like, if this is a museum of Sonic history, why is there not more here? Why have we not packed this with as much as we can, you know?
Yeah. I think it is a case where, because a lot of the stuff that we are talking about is like, by all in all, subjective, like the music aspect of it and all that stuff, and like whether or not they could have put more into the museum. So like, sadly, a lot of these things are not really going to be fixed, you know?
Yeah.
So it is something.
Yeah.
And plus, like, here's the thing. I'm not a big fan of the choir synths, but you're never going to forget them. You know, like
you're never gonna forget.
Like,
them.
here's the thing with composers is that they always try to make something that is like pretty much like unforgettable about a soundtrack, for better or for worse.
Yeah, like a signature.
Like a signature. That's a signature. That's like the producer's tag of like whoever is composing this game. You know, like those choir synths, you're like, yep, that's Crossworlds. For better or for worse, that is Crossworlds. It's like the, you know, and all respect to Richard Jocks, but it's whenever you hear like Sonic Chronicles stuff, it's like that's the only game that sounds like that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. But
so
then
like,
on a brighter note, like Sonic R is the only game that sounds like that.
Exactly. Well, that's
Sonic
what I'm saying.
Adventure has a sound. There's much more of a sort of a fusion brass and rock in Sonic Adventure 1, while Sonic Adventure 2 is much more kind of metal. But with more kind of hip-hop elements to it, I guess.
Yeah, well, there's definitely like, it's Sonic Adventure is one of those things where it was a product of its times, but considering that they were focused on making good songs first, it outlives its influences and becomes something just like timeless, basically. I have a whole video talking about this, or I'm creating a whole video talking about this. But regardless,
the weird thing is though, like when like the OG Sonic generations came out, a lot of those music remixes, I was like, this is a new definitive version of this track now. This is the version I'm going to listen to first for the majority of its tracks. With the remixes that we had in Shadow Generations and what we've heard of the remixes in this, it's like, nah, I'm going to listen to the original. Like,
yeah, I'd say like even some of. You're right with most of Generation stuff. They had remixes where I'm like, yeah, like that's good. It's better than the original. But then like you see like Modern City Escape, and I feel like Modern City Escape.
Oh, it's so different.
Generations,
like
it's a little bit weaker than the original one in my opinion. I'm not sure if it's just down. I don't know if it's just down to mixing or performance or all that stuff. But like, I think the original City Escape just has like way more life breathed into it, in my opinion.
Compared to the OG City Escape, I don't love the classic version either. Even though that seems to be the de facto version these days. Like, I still prefer the OG to that. But it's kind of like, since then, every remix has been more electronic than the last. I think one of my favorite tracks in Shadow Generations is Act 1 of Rail Canyon, purely for the fact that it is the one track in that game that didn't decide, let's go more electronic with it. It was like, nah, let's stick with the more kind of... Well, they had like organs and guitars and stuff. Like, it stuck to being a timeless track. Compare that to something like Chaos Island Act 1, and it's like, yay, more drum machine, yay. That's more drummers put out of work, yay.
I mean, to be fair,
I know. It's been a long-term discussion.
I know. I know what you mean. But like, what I guess like with I don't know. Music is such a weird thing to talk about because
It's
like
so
I guess for
subjective.
me, because it is so selective, and for me it's like this is my bread and butter. Like I know like how these things are made, and I know like most of the time where these sounds come from or why they were chosen. With the choir synths, I really don't know why they were chosen. In my opinion, if this was early on, I'm like, oh, they're probably gonna hire like a real choir to try to sing these parts. That would have been cool. That would have been awesome, actually.
Right.
I mean, to be fair,
But
it could still be a placeholder for a real choir because Sonic Forces
sure,
did that. In like the E3 demos, you had a synthetic version of like the orchestral Sonic Forces theme whenever you complete a level, but then the final product had a proper orchestra doing it. And also, I just want to quickly
that's
acknowledge
fair.
and in the chat here, you're right. What I'm made of also as well didn't go more electronic. There are like boss tracks mainly, like the BioLizard track. Is
Yeah.
absolutely fucking phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
And the
that
All
song
Hail
is just
Shadow
awesome. Yeah.
symphonic mix is excellent. Like
Yeah.
when they do more like that, I like it much better than when it's like we've made it more electronic. Like I like electronic music, but I don't think we should be remixing everything that was once not electronic and making it electronic.
I mean,
Yeah.
another thing that could possibly lead it to being placeholder, if to believe that, is that they didn't let you have settings to adjust the audio in game. Like you could not turn off character voices, could not turn down like certain things and such like that. So I mean, it could very well be either placeholder thing or they just didn't want people uploading the tracks outright to YouTube.
It could also be why the sound is mixed the way it is as well. But that's
Yeah.
that's another thing, is like the only track you really get a clear listen to is the menu theme. And when it's not
Yeah.
doing the choir thing, I love the way that sounds.
Yeah, like completely agree. But yeah, I guess it's just a thing where like that is a signature sound of this game. It's not something I
Then
would have
pick a
preferred.
different one then. Can we get
Yeah,
saxophone
but-
back? Can we just get saxophone back in Sonic? Saxophone is like the best instrument.
Like honestly, like I'd be down if they just went like some of the best Sonic soundtracks they were sampling from like 90s like sample CDs and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
but you gotta be selective with that because there is like that
Yeah.
famous like Persona 3 like
Lawsuit
anime
thing, wasn't there? Like
No, it wasn't. No. This isn't even anything in terms of legalities. It's a Persona Trinity Soul, and the song is called Burning Man Soul. And there's a guy that's rapping on this track. And before the rapping, like the track is phenomenal, but the rapping comes from a 90s sample CD, and it is the most hilarious thing ever, like to listen to. If anyone in the chat knows exactly what I'm talking about, look up Persona Trinity Soul, Burning Men Soul.
can you write
and-
this down in the back rooms and I'll look it up later?
Here, I'm doing it. Yeah, I'm doing it.
Yeah, yeah. Get Tommy Tallarico back on the franchise. Get the first American ever to work
Oh
on
my
Sonic
god.
back on the Sonic
The
franchise.
Yeah, his mom is very proud.
Release the next Sonic game on the Intellivision Amico and make it exclusive. It will sell like thunder cakes. But
Oh my lord.
yeah, I mean, I've obviously been very critical. I did enjoy the beta a lot, but I there were just definitely some things in there. It's like I hope to see them fixed. Some things I have no doubt will be. Like, again, once we are able to do custom games, the chaotic nature of global play won't really be an issue. We'll be able to get a break from that, a reprieve. And obviously, I think once you're playing like the main campaign as well, you can kind of choose what difficulty the races you're up against are and stuff like that. I hope they'll let you choose how many laps you do, or let you like preset certain crossroads.
I do hope that we get more laps because I will say there have been times where I was playing it and I'd be like, oh, that was it.
Yeah, that's
I feel
something.
like, okay, all right.
That's something my flatmate Dom noticed actually, was that yeah, like it feels like these laps are much shorter. And now going back to the other Sonic races, I kind of half agree. I think Transformed definitely had longer laps than this, but I think Transformed's laps borderlined on a little too long at times when it was like, okay, now I gotta piss.
Yeah, that
Like-
was something that made me like not like it as much.
Yeah, like I do like that game a lot, but there's times when I'll be like in the middle of lap 2 thinking the race is almost over, thinking, God, I cannot wait to go to the toilet. Like,
Right, yeah, you get there and it's like lap 3, it's like, oh.
it's like, you're taking the piss. I've got work to do today. I can't keep gathering this footage. Like, but I mean, maybe if they let us like set that or something. But even then, yeah, this felt kind of quick. And I think it's it feels even more quick because of the Crossworlds feature. And I feel bad saying that because that is the big feature of this game. But because of that, you kind of end up with, I didn't get enough Dino Jungle, and I didn't get enough Metal Harbor either.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And I mean, like, I mean, it could just be they're doing it in short bursts because that is like the main draw. It's like, okay, this Crossworld is here, and like when they do introduce Sega franchises into the game, you know, then it gives even more of a reason for the Crossworld to exist.
Yeah, and with more content, there'll be more discovery as well. So, but it's just, I fear that with the beta that we had, the Crossworlds gimmick wore off very quickly. Like, another thing that I have to talk about as well is the transformations. I think, Dave, you brought up that in, like, Transformed, when going into the plane transformation, it was a much smoother, almost kind of seamless transition of, like, you know, you can even do, like, little flips into the plane formation. Whereas in this game, it's like the screen effectively goes white for a second, and then, boom, you're in a plane.
Yeah, and on top of that, I mean, I may be wrong about being able to flip into the.
No, you
the
could.
transformation,
I've gone back and tried it.
Could you? Because I had somebody on my video comment saying that you couldn't.
No, you could.
Not only that. Okay, maybe I misremember that. But like, transforming into plane, it feels really slow. I don't know. It feels like it takes away speed.
It feels like there's a slight lag to it. And the plane in Transformed as well, you could use the right stick to align it upwards, downwards, left and right if you need to quickly like change lane or something, which I don't think you can do in this one. But what I will say is I think the drift on the plane is better because you can now like horizontally and vertically drift. But then that brings me to the boats, because the boats, they've done something new with it as well, in that they replaced the drift function with a jump function.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I barely used the jump function, barely thought to use it. I really just wondered, why the fuck do I not have a drift the entire time?
Because, I mean, I have been able to find out that just repeatedly pressing the drift button kind of helped with drifting, even though you're not actually drifting.
Let go of the accelerator can help with turning. But it's like, fuck me, do I really have to adjust the way I'm playing this much for 5 seconds of gameplay?
Yeah.
It is kind of weird.
I will say, sadly, I do have to get going. I have to get ready. But
I have to go to big party.
I have to go.
Tonight.
I have to. It's not even a big party. It's just playing bass for some people, which is going to be fun.
Huge party, lots of women, babes, and I'm going to get so much laid.
All right, I'm leaving. Love you. Oh, love you, chat. Bye bye. Mwah. Farewell. Love y'all. All right. Bye bye.
That boy's starting to develop quite an attitude, isn't he? Huh? But yeah, is there anything more to really? I did actually really like the Water Palace track. I heard some people saying they didn't like that track, but I enjoyed it, especially when you got to little jellyfishes.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I kind of liked it.
It doesn't look much like Water Palace, to be fair. Like
no, I at first thought it was Toliana.
Same, and like the thing is, I think a lot of people headcanoned that Water Palace is kind of a part of Apotos from Sonic Unleashed, and there's nothing of that kind of imagery here at all. Also, a fun little thing I discovered as well is because I know people mentioned at the time Team Sonic Racing came out, the Chow just being little moving PNGs was kind of lame for like next-gen consoles. That's still the case here, and it's funny because when I went to play back the original Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, the Chow were actually 3D models. Now, that's not me saying the original game has better animation because they were low poly, and also the faces are not animated in that game. But I was like, yeah, I think they're a little too obviously PNGs. Maybe they need to be blurred or out of focus or something.
I'm trying to think if that may be a way of them optimizing the game.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I noticed that the avatars are also very low poly because they return in there. I mean,
yeah, I think with Crossworlds, this is the first time I believe we're seeing a Sonic game in Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
And I know we were talking about frame rate and stuff earlier, but I had recently come across a video on YouTube breaking into some game development stuff with Unreal Engine that a lot of the times, especially modern games that are made in Unreal Engine, a lot of companies cut costs by doing fake optimization with using Unreal Engine. And what happens is like they'll use all these different like tools and whatnot that Unreal Engine provides, and they think that it's gonna let the game run better, but actually it kind of kills it. So I'm wondering if, because Unreal Engine is so picky when it comes to certain things, if you were to replace those Chow with actual 3D models and animate them, if it would cause any performance issues.
Sure. I mean, that's also, that is, I admit, a nitpick above all nitpicks. So I've put that. I didn't even put that on the feedback, but like, it was just kind of funny to me looking back at the original and be like, oh look, they're models. They're actually there. I did think it was kind of cool how the Forces avatars were there. I still really wish we had some humans in there too, like especially on things like Metal Harbor and stuff like that, because that is a human-populated area. It was in the original, so the fact that it's now all animal people is like, am I being fucking gaslit here? Where does Dr. Robotnik come from? What is he then? And what was the point of that fucking Tails tube if we're not going to ever do anything about that? But we probably are. We have technically seen humans in Shadow Generations. So again, that's not stuff I wrote down on the feedback form. I'm not here to be a circus. But like, it's, yeah, it's, those are just nitpicks. The good stuff is, I think it's nice, and there's a good sense of feedback to kind of the drift this time compared to, especially Team Sonic Racing Transformed, or not Team Sonic Racing, fucking Transformed. The visual feedback on the drift is much better now, and it feels like you're moving faster. I think the ring system's kind of cool, although I never noticed that much of an increase in speed. And also, that's another way the game penalizes you, is like, if you get hit, not only do you lose your place, you lose your rings as well, so you can't even catch up either, so I think that needs to be rebalanced.
Well, I think that adds on to the strategy of the gadget system, because there are gadgets that allow you to keep half your rings if you get hit, and then there are also some gadgets that just let you have an insane amount of rings. So I think that is definitely more intentional than not.
I still feel like I just want to have that, and I also want to have the quick tricks, and the fucking the bounce, that the collision dash, because the amount of colliding you're doing, it's like, Jesus Christ, you might as well. The slipstream one was
even
really
though
weird
it's
as
not
well,
really
because
that big of a boost, in my opinion.
yeah, it's just a dinky little one, but it's like, why would I ever switch that off? It's just a tiny little advantage. But the slipstream one was really weird as well, because there's not really any visual defining thing for the slipstream this time, like there was in, say, Team Sonic Racing.
They're it's very small, very less noticeable, but there is a visual for it.
Yeah. Also, I just want to quickly...
All you get is just like, you just get wind that goes around your car, and that's basically it. It's not like, oh, there's a slipstream. It's just like very vague. It's there.
Yeah, so you know when it's working, you just don't know where it is.
Yeah.
Also, I did just want to note, like, I understand why a lot of cutbacks are made. Like, you know, low poly NPC characters and stuff like that is because, like, you don't really need the resources for that, so why waste them? And also, like, because the Sonic character models in this one are also a downgrade as well. Like, the models are not as good as the Team Sonic Racing ones, nor are they as good as, say, Frontiers, because they've ditched, like, the fur textures and stuff like that. They're all a bit more plastic, a bit more low poly. But the reason they've done that is, like, there's a lot of visual effects happening on screen at any one time, and you're not really going to be looking at the character model. There are some areas where the animation has improved. Sorry, go on, Frank.
It's like you're not getting close-ups to them all the time.
Yeah. Like, one thing I did like is how much the characters' quills flop about when you're revving the engine at first. That was quite nice. There's a little bit of visual feedback. Nice. But then there was also, like, the thing of, like, oh, I wish they would use Knuckles' Dream Team model, man, because his current modern model just it needs to go. I know that there's a discussion about new models and stuff, but Knuckles is in dire need of a revised model, and the Dream Team one will do for now, as far as I'm concerned. But, I think that's about as thorough as I can be. I think overall, it's good. It's just, there's a lot of things I want to see addressed.
Right.
What do you think, Frank?
I think it was a game. You know, they moved. You know, it's put together with code.
It's put together with love.
No, I don't know about that one. This is a corporation we're talking about.
It was put together with no love.
No love.
I don't know. It seems fine. There's just a couple things that are a little disappointing, but I think I can look past that. It's just I want to see that item balance. Like,
Oh,
if we
yeah,
ever
it
feel
That
definitely
is the
needs some
most important bit.
polishing.
yeah, because I noticed from a couple of streams where, especially for like Dylan's stream, or he would be like in first or second place. He'd be doing really well. First thing that hits him sends him near the back, and he cannot catch up, which is it's way too harsh of a punishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like if you're coming first and it's like, yeah, getting knocked
And
back to, like,
again,
ninth.
that also ties into the item balance, because if you get knocked back that far and you get an item, you're not likely to get an item that would likely help you out.
The recovery
that
just
much.
needs to be much faster. And I think there needs to be
Yeah.
something so that you can at least recover your position a bit better. Because like when you've lost all
Yeah,
your
'cause-
rings, so your speed is now bottom, and you've just been hit for like 5 seconds with no turning and acceleration, it's like, well, shit. Like, that's me done then.
Yeah, because even that's something that Mario Kart does. Oh, yeah. And speaking of that, Sonic fans, don't try to punch upwards with this whole like it's better than Mario Kart. Just don't do it.
That whole debacle is just funny to see unravel. It's just like let both exist. I personally think that both can exist at the same time.
Yes, because they're gonna feel like two completely different kart racers.
And I may
I
end
felt
up
that way
liking one
with,
better than the other, but like at the end of the day, like they're both doing their own little thing, you know?
Yeah.
2 cakes. 2 cakes.
Yeah,
You
and
have them
thank
both.
God that
And eat 'em
Sega
too.
is allowing crossplay for this, because oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that just like extended the life of that game. I don't know
that
how-
sweetens the deal so much more.
Also, it'd be really stupid if they called it Crossworlds but had no crossplay.
Yeah, it'd be a real slap in the face. It's like, all right, guys,
It
come
would
on.
be so funny because it's like, come on, guys. But yeah, it's a good thing that they are including crossplay, because I think at this point with multiplayer games, unless somehow there's like a technical reason that it's not possible, like that's kind of the norm these days.
All right, so because we're on a bit of a time crunch, shall we move on to super chats?
All right.
Sure.
All right, I've put them in the mailbag. You guys can see them?
Yes.
Yep.
Dave, why don't you lead us, Borg?
All right, we got $1.99 US from Mr. Krabs, Clobberin, and Wario. Time Friday, y'all.
Thank you. What's up with the clobbering time? Why are we getting hit?
Anybody order a clobbering? Got a
Because
fresh clobbering, right?
fresh clobbering with an extra beatdown. Whoa! I'm so glad we're out of that era. I'm so glad.
We were joking about that the other day with
when I was
watching
playing Rise of Lyric.
Yeah, honestly, really quick, Rise of Lyric, they just had to make a couple tweaks to it and get rid of that opening section, and it would look like a much better game.
You see what I was saying? You were seeing the vision the other day.
But then it started to go away when
There was
you
a
kept
lot of
falling
combat.
off. You were falling, and then there was like, oh, you do this puzzle that that for some reason you cannot fail,
The
and
falling
then
off thing,
you
though,
fight two waves of robots.
one thing I really admired, though, was they made sure that once you had done a platforming section successfully, that you wouldn't have to do it again by, like, putting pipes there and stuff. So, like, when you reach the top, you have to pull, like, a switch, and it causes, like, a glass pipe to come down.
Oh yeah,
like,
rather
that's-
than like having to
Rather
than
having to do it
go
all again.
backwards.
Yeah, I was
yeah,
like,
so they
yeah.
make backtracking a lot better.
And those platforming bits only took, like, 1 minute as well. So, like, it's not exactly Frontier's Final Horizon Towers bad. The point where it got a bit egregious for me was when it was like, okay, floor puzzle, some bad guys come out. Floor puzzle, some bad guys come out. Another floor puzzle. Oh, look, more bad guys. And it was just like, the characters in-game were like, ugh, this is getting old. And I was like, yeah, it is. Why are we doing this? Like... But other than that, I genuinely enjoyed the majority of my playtime. I really don't think Rise of Lyric is anything too great, but I don't think it's anything too bad either. But okay.
How about that arrow that you kept trying to show me?
Yeah, the fucking arrow, dude. Like, fuck the arrow. Yeah, there's little bits and pieces, but honest to God, I don't think it would have taken much to have turned it into a decent little game. Although, while I do want a speed-based traversal system, not a lot of the game is designed around that. It's like if they had a run
No,
button,
it's
they could
not.
maybe make that work. But okay, we'll move on to the next one. We gotta go fast. Burger. Mr. Krabs with the $1.99. Look at me, I'm Trey and Pup. We talk about popping. Oh, look at me, I'm Mr. Krabs, and I like popping. Oh.
Oh.
Burger.
Samuel, is that Inoki
Yes.
Yeah.
with the $2 US? Why do you look like Gibby, pup?
Who the
Oh,
fuck?
ouch.
Who's Gibby?
From iCarly?
Gibby.
Where do I look like Gibby?
I don't know.
Ouch. That. Damn.
Okay. All right then. We'll move on to the next one. Burger.
All right. All right,
Frank.
we got $9.99. Oh,
Wait,
Frank again?
is it? No, it's not Frank. Frank
No,
did-
it's Dave. It's Dave.
All right. Yeah, Dave.
All right. $9.99 US from KB. Thoughts on the Shrek 5 teaser? I'm kind of getting used to the new designs.
That's funny because when the stream went down, we were talking about it earlier.
Yeah.
I don't hate the new designs. It just feels like it's a more updated version. I appreciate that they make them look older now, but I figured that's just, that was bound to happen.
I mean, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish changed the animation of that universe to something a bit more cartoony. And I think they've just done the same thing here. It's the kind of thing where once we get an action sequence, it will probably have that frame rate reduction as well. But I think it's a huge overreaction to this.
Yeah.
So for one, the animation is not that different in my opinion. You can just tell that there's a bit more of a modern lighting sensibility, although it is an artificial lighting thing because it's a teaser, so the whole thing is meant to just illuminate the subject as much as possible. And then there's people saying, oh, the humor's so lowbrow. But it's like, dude, Shrek has always done lowbrow humor. Lowbrow pop culture references are embedded in the DNA of this. And when I was watching this, I was like, this really feels like a Shrek trailer. Especially at the end where the announcer's and Zendaya, oh damn. I was like, that's very Shrek coded. This whole thing.
Yeah.
It is.
The only thing I'm concerned about is a Shrek movie in a post-meme world and what that means for it. And I think we're already seeing
memes in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're gonna whore out All Star. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. They're gonna really use All Star as much as they can because of the meme.
They're gonna lean into it, and you're gonna hear Shrek with a mighty roar.
Shrek leaves through my window. I think the animation thing as well. So many people are saying, oh, we need to do what we did with the Sonic movie, which just proves to me that people do not know what it was they didn't like about movie Sonic's first design. Because that was a whole problem with Uncanny Valley and stuff like that. That was a problem with a rubber hose character having fucking visible joints and muscles and stuff, and lips and that. It was because it objectively looked bad. Whereas this Shrek thing, by all objective standards, looks fine. And I think when people see it in action, they're just going to be like, oh, it was fine. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it's just, of course, it's going to look a little uncanny at first because it's a change in art style, even if it is just a very minor one. When you change the art style of something that you're already familiar with, of course the new version is going to take some getting used to. But I think it works. I think it works all right. I thought it looked a bit more Disney-ish. It could have been... If someone told me,
definitely.
If someone told me the animation team that worked on fucking Rapunzel worked on this, I'd believe them,
I could just now imagine Shrek singing "It's a Wonderful Day for Pie."
It's a wonderful day for pie. They even gave him a bit of that Peter Griffin cheek and stuff going on.
Yeah.
I definitely noticed he was looking... I was hoping it would look somewhat different. I do want to see things evolve and change after 10 years and be revisited with modern techniques and stuff like that. So I'm glad we got something. If it had just come out looking like Shrek 4, I would have been a little disappointed.
Yeah, I think I would be in the same boat.
You know what? KB's got the right idea. The internet's making a mountain out of a molehill.
Exactly. I think people just need to keep an open mind. And again, the movie's not coming out until Christmas 2026. So,
yeah.
Wow.
This is not necessarily massively indicative of how the entire... It's one of those teaser trailer things where the characters are just lit to show up as much as possible. This isn't how the movie's going to actually, look. It's not all going to be filmed in a cramped space with a mid-shot, put it that way.
Yeah.
Shrek McFarlane.
So when you see Shrek come running away from beasts and demons and stuff, you'll know Shrek is back. Okay, so next one, Borker. KB with the $1.99. Trey was roboticized and then the stream died. Trey was the glue that held us together, and now we're just waiting until the next internet outage. Thank you, KB. Borker.
Oz Productions with the $5. Sega cancels all of Channel Pup's future review copies and movie premiere invites. If he wants them back, he needs to review Knuckles positively again.
It's so funny. Like, I know that Oz is joking, but there are so many people that are like serious with me, saying like, "Oh, there goes your next invite." And so it's like, they're adults; they can handle it. They'll be fine. Not to mention, the people that handle the invitations don't make the movies, so they're not taking it personally.
No.
Like, as long as you're not like abusive,
for like a third party.
Yeah, as long as you're not like abusive towards people, then you're fine.
Yeah. As long as you don't say, "Hey, let's go bully them to change the design," you'll be fine.
But okay, I will review Knuckles right now. Okay, here we go. Positive view of Knuckles. Knuckles is really good. I like Knuckles a lot.
We must bowl.
Wait, we must bowl. Bowling is nice, actually.
Fuck.
Fuck. Dave, if you haven't seen Knuckles in a Nutshell, we got to show you that at some point.
I think I have.
Our favorite little sewn up beta male made it, and it is fantastic.
Dill House.
Poor guy has just entered a new era of life now because he's just Millhouse. This is why you should never be my friend. Anyways, Borger. You're up, Dave.
All right, KB with another $9.99. Hot take: if Sega makes more classic Sonic games, the games need something like text boxes and cutscenes. The lack of dialogue in Superstars really hurt the story. I don't know.
Interesting point, but I think there's definitely an art to the dialogue-less storytelling that can be pulled off.
Definitely...
Like,
yeah,
I don't think that was the problem with Superstars' story. If Superstars' story had just been the story of the base game, so it's like Robotnik wants to find a dragon, goes to the North Star Islands. Oh, they're the same fucking name. Like, looking for a dragon, ends up not realizing he found a dragon, and his newest pathetic henchwoman, she allies with Sonic, and now he's got a dragon on his side. Like, that would be a fine little story. But the problem with the story of Superstars is that, A, there's no cohesion from environment to another. Like, with Sonic 3, you kind of understand the geography of Angel Island, whereas you don't really understand the geography of the North Star Islands. Like, why are we in a jungle now? Why are we in a sky temple? How did we even get there? Why are we, in a carnival?
Right.
Like, there's no, like, rhyme and reason to those locations. They're there because they're Sonic level archetypes. And then pair that up with, oh, Trip's a dragon. Oh, Robotnik was looking for a dragon. Robotnik's gone, but now he is a dragon. Well, dragon's a threat. What the fuck? Dragon? Time travel? Why has Robotnik got a time travel keystone? What is it? Like, that's the problem with Superstars. Like, Sonic 3 and Knuckles has excellent storytelling in it without any dialogue or text whatsoever. And same goes for games like Sonic and the Fallen Star. Sonic Mania gets the job done. But, like, Sonic Superstars is the only game I can really think of that has that specific problem in terms of, like, 2D Sonic games that are on consoles.
Yeah.
But, like, at the same time, I don't see why every classic Sonic title should be completely dialogue-less. Like, why not let them talk?
Right. I mean, I think it could also just tie into like it's just how it's always been. And they also highlight that in like little animated shorts such as like Sonic Mania Adventures where they do a good job with the storytelling without dialogue needing to be represented.
The thing is, though, we have seen how the dialogue can enhance that a little bit in the IDW Anniversary special.
Oh, for sure.
Because I really love those little classic Sonic comics. I think they're some of the better stuff that IDW does, to be honest, because they're very well paced compared to like the main series. But like those comics prove that dialogue can work, and Sonic was in the 90s, especially in the USA, perceived to be a bit of a motor mouth. Like he never shuts up.
Oh yeah.
Like he's a sassy little bastard, and like you don't get any or even an illusion to that in classic Sonic games now. I definitely think it's better than what they did with like Generations, where it's like classic Tails can talk and classic Robotnik can talk, just classic Sonic can't. And I think, if you're going to do crossovers with the modern cast, then maybe they should talk, unless we explain that they are from a universe, another dimension where people don't talk. Then that's okay, if you've got that set up as the logic. But if you're doing the time travel thing in a game that otherwise has dialogue, doesn't really work, in my opinion.
All right.
In my opinion.
In my onion.
My opinion. Borger. Who's up next? Is it me? Am I up next?
I think yes.
Okay, Mr. SP with the $5. Your first impressions sound like someone who didn't do their homework and try to make something up based on what they saw on TV. I'm guessing you're talking about Frank and Trey.
Yeah.
What? Hey, everything happened.
We saved our money and didn't get PS5. Oh.
No, I play other game.
I've got fat stacks now that I didn't buy PS5. Oh.
Again, I have said in the past the reason
It's
that
okay,
the reason that I
you
would
could
buy
buy
a PS5
and play just the beta, but then you wouldn't have anything else to go back to the PS5 for. So
No, there's exclusives that I've never played, and there's stuff that I know it's also on PC, but I would never play it on PC because my PC can't handle it. So I would have reasons.
Oh, I've
Also,
got
cheap
fat
PS4 games.
stacks of cash in my bank now that I didn't get PS4. Okay, so
And I also need another system to collect mana games for.
yeah.
Franken, you're up.
Oh, Mr. Krabs with $1.99 US. Marge, look at me. It's clobbering time. Merge.
Merge. Look at me.
Merge.
It's collaborating
Look at me.
game, Merge.
It's clebbering time, Merge.
Collaborating game,
That's starting to go
Merge,
into
my
like
boy.
into like the Gerald Robotnik. Now that,
Yeah,
now that I'm
yeah.
hearing it more and more.
Shadow.
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 Come
Shadow.
here, my
Time,
boy.
Shadow.
You power up the Eclipse Cannon, my boy, and we'll go for frosty chocolate milkshakes. Borger. All right,
It's
Dave.
clobbering time, Shadow.
Shadow. Open your anus. It's
Maybe with-
clobbering time.
Oh my god. Alright. All right, KB with $1.99 US. Thoughts on Dodompa's grand return? Hashtag Dodonpa sweep. Personally, I'm a big fan of Dodonpa. I love him.
Oh, I saw him moving, and I was like, "Oh, it's alive!" he finally
Dodonpa.
moves.
I didn't even know he was back.
Oh yeah, he's back. People were saying, "Oh, he's got a voice this time." I thought, no, he had a voice in the original. He just never moved before. It was really weird.
People didn't get that far in the game.
Yeah.
No, but the
I don't
Donpa's
think
so memorable. Like, they even made a joke about it on the Twitter takeover where, like, Sonic was like, "Oh yeah, I'd put Dodonpa between, like, I'd put Orbot between Dodonpa and Zavok."
Yeah.
Okay, a Borger. Mr. SP with the 228. What a weird amount of money to send. Like, come on, Mr. SP.
Very specific.
Come on. The real question is, does it have the sauce? It has some sauce. It's got... There's sauce there. It's just that I got some bones in it.
Sauce.
In addition to
Sauce.
sauce. Borger. Frank.
Okay, let's see. With $2 US, Crossworld is the most fun arcade racer I've played. You haven't played many arcade racers.
Let you with the fucking recency bias. Look at you. I
should
like
play a
it
game
because
called
it's the
Cruisin'
newest
Blast.
one.
Like,
Look,
I was
guys,
on one.
I've only ever played Fortnite Racing, and I really like this compared to it, so shut the fuck
He is
up.
he is in the top 1,000 of Rocket Racing, as in there are 1,000 Rocket Racing players, and he is part of it.
Poor Lit.
You need to play more racing games, Lit.
He's supporting the show as our friend, and we're just bullying him. Fuck you, Lit. Thank you for the money.
Thanks for the money, dummy. No, I'm kidding.
Thank
Thank you
you,
for the
Lit.
support.
Yeah, thanks for being a friend. Next up is Mr. Crab, Borger. That's you, Dave.
Borger. Mr. Krabs, $199. Ooh, look at me, I'm Trey. I had to leave for a gig. Ooh.
What accent is that?
I think we're all just kind of going with whatever.
Oh, look at me. Oh.
Oh, look, it's me. I'm Pup. I have to dictate the accents.
Oh, look at me. I'm Frank. Shut the fuck up. Oh. there isn't an accent. It's just sad. The voice is just sad. Unhappy.
Sad.
Oh, look, it's me. I'm Pup. It has to be sad.
Oh, look at me. I'm Trey. And I keep trying to rock a boat that shouldn't be rocked. I better be careful. I'm on thin ice. Oh, it's me, isn't it? Okay. Mr. Krabs, with the $1.99. Marriage, come play Marvel Rival with me and Gromit. Thank you, Mr. Krabs. Borger. Frank.
Mike 1911 with the $4.99 US. If we see another classic Sonic game, I don't want a boss fight that gives me heartburn.
All in agreement. Say aye.
I don't even understand what that means.
So let's just get a good fight in a classic Sonic game.
Oh,
Don't
okay.
make the
Pretty
bosses
much,
absolutely.
like
Let's get some good
superstars.
boss fights. Seriously, I don't want to wait like 30 seconds for another window to hit him.
I don't want to wait for my life to be over. Let me kill the fucking thing. Fuck Robotnik. Don't go quiet. Don't do that to me. Not with my internet today. What are you doing? Gang. Borger. You're up, Dave.
Borger. Mr. Krabs, $1.99 US dollars. Gromit, stop bullying Carl Weezer in Crossword.
Crossword.
Stop bullying Carl Weezer. Oh, don't call him Carl Weezer. I think Millhouse is one thing. Fucking Carl Weezer. He doesn't even look like Carl Weezer.
In Crossword, he just goes to like the New York Times to have him put a bunch of things that would bully him.
I still love Dylan's like borderline eugenics reasons for not wanting to be called Millhouse. Because he's a pathetic being, and he doesn't deserve to live.
Damn.
He's not worthy of life.
Okay.
That's
okay,
literally...
Dillhouse.
Hi, Frank. Okay. You should get another channel called Crank That Frank. I just think that's a really cool name.
I don't want any more YouTube channels. Come on.
No, Crank That Frank is really cool though.
Crank That Frank.
I'm done. I'm done making YouTube channels.
Borger. Let's see. It's me now, isn't it? KB with the $1.99. Thank you, KB. Do you feel a 2.5D classic Sonic game could work? Absolutely, I think it could.
Yeah.
Most
It just
certainly.
needs good art direction. I think the problem with Superstars is all very plastic. Like,
And good level design, because some of the stuff
Definitely good level design.
yeah, it
like there are some
absolutely can
zones.
work.
There are some zones that are solid enough, but there are just some that just go on, that just keep going and just will not stop, or they have some kind of
Yeah.
The main
bizarre-
problem for me is always the boss. Like,
yeah.
but I think the thing is they don't feel as elaborate and in-depth as the ones in, say, Mania either. Like, look at Studiopolis Act 2.
Yeah.
There's so many layers to that. So many different, like, the top path, the bottom path, the middle path. There's so many paths on top of paths. And each of those paths have a very different aesthetic as well, because there's excellent world building to the level design. One part is like a popcorn shop. One part's like a TV studio. You go to Act 2, and it's more like TV weather kind of stuff, live TV. You've got, like, shops and stuff. It feels like an actual place. There's nothing like that in Superstars. You go to the jungle level, there's jungle. You go down, jungle, up, jungle, more jungle, lots of jungle. The stages are one
Jungle,
thing.
up, down, and all around.
Yeah. And it's because it's not illustrated artwork. It's just the use and reuse of 3D assets and stuff. And it's basically like, hey, a sky temple. What could that look like? Okay, we'll put some bricks on it. There you go. It's done. Bricks.
Oh, we need some clouds.
Yeah, cloud. Don't forget the fucking clouds, guys. It's like, yeah, it's because nothing has as much detail. The level design and layout and aesthetics are not as detailed as that of Sonic Mania, and they can be. That's the thing, is that they can be. You can even have a Sonic game with a simple art style, but is still detailed for what it is. That's where the quality comes in. And I think Superstars, it's all right. It looks fine. It looks pretty good. But
it's serviceable.
Its aesthetic is nothing to write home about. There's nothing special. They did more with the pixel art in Mania than they did with the polygons in Superstars. Superstars. Alright, I'm gonna take 3 more and then I'm gonna honor that fucking super chat cutoff. You people are ridiculous. Why would you do it after the cutoff? 3 more top.
They know they can.
Well, the ones I've got written down are the last ones. Anything else will wait till next week.
Yeah.
Alright, because I have to try and uphold this. Okay, so, Borger.
KB with $1.99. Oh, look at me. I'm popping. I need burger.
Oh, I could go for Borger right now, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, me too.
Borger.
Mr. Krabs with $1.99 US. Gromit, stop clapping Homer cheeks in Fortnite.
Oh, but Wallace, it feels so good. Fucking hell.
That's so fucking cursed.
Next up, Mama Luigi 9000 Turner. That is such a 2000s YouTube poop coded name. I love it. It's genuinely nostalgic. So sends
yeah, it takes me back.
5 US. All we need is like, I wonder what's for dinner, and you get says $5 US. Thank you, Turner. Crossworld feel more like Mario Kart arcade GP games than Mario Kart 8. I think I saw what folks were saying as well, saying it feels very arcadey, and I guess that's a completely fair assessment.
It definitely looked more like one of those games than like a console release.
So again, hopefully, like, there'll be lots of different game modes. I can imagine playing this in one of those booths where you sit in like the actual little car thing and have a.
Oh yeah,
I could never play those.
It would be so awesome. It would be so cool. And if Dylan were here, he'd sing along.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if I like after this game releases, that we see like an arcade version, like within a few months.
Yeah. Right, that's the end. That's the bloody end of the bloody episode. Bloody hell. I'm just turning Australian now for some reason. All right, there's the bloody skeleton. All right, so... Dave, what are you up to?
Yeah.
What are you up to this time?
Not much. Just been vibing, chilling. About it. Don't really have anything too big planned. But yeah.
You're not kicking ass?
Nah, I'm just vibing.
Damn. What about you, Frank? You kicking ass?
Okay, I've done a couple things. First off, since the last time that I was on the podcast,
so much new content.
I released Sonic Generations without defeating a badnik. That's been up since Monday. And hopefully later today I will be finishing the a video on Monster Hunter Wilds because I was given early access to the game, so I got to play it before most people did.
Me, early access.
Yeah, it feels pretty damn good. And that video's been taking a little longer to finish, so I am still working on it as we speak. But later today, I will also be streaming Monster Hunter Wilds on my VTuber channel, and I am going to be playing from the beginning, so that will be the one that I play on stream going forward.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then after that, I will rest, because this has been an exhausting week.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Oh, so much exhaustion.
Yeah, like, it's... This entire week, I have gone to sleep, like, at 2 in the morning.
What time do you usually wake up?
Any time between 6 and 10 a.m.
Damn. Yeah,
That's
you're not
about
getting a lot
right
of sleep,
for me.
are you?
Nah, not really, because it's like, oh, I must finish video.
Oh,
Anyway,
I must...
Pup.
Yes.
What have you been up to? What are
Thank
you
you,
up to
Frank. I'm glad you asked. So, I recently got out the last part of my Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man retrospective. Not retrospective. It's new. It's a new fucking show. I got out the last part of the cartoon episode analysis series for season 1. But there will be a special extended compilation with new footage and stuff in there. So that's That's gonna be really cool. And I'm gonna make a video on the Sonic Crossworlds beta test as well at some point to give you my comprehensive thoughts, make them a bit more concise than they were here as well, and
Yeah.
just drop my opinions on it, and you guys can see kind of what my experience was like. So yeah, hell yeah.
Sounds
Oh,
good.
hell yeah.
The episode is over. Anyone want any last words?
Gordon introduced burgers.